It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
It's nice to be back. It's Sunday night, July 13th, 2025. Want to welcome you to the latest Sit Down with yours truly, Don Tony. What a week, man. And it's still not over. For those that don't know, I got hit with COVID. And it's been brutal. Yesterday morning was the first day that I finally tested negative, and I tested positive as early as last Monday. And no fever this time around, but two things that are really, really kicking my ass right now. I'm still a little nasal, and I still feel run down, but something that's been bothering me, and I've ruled out everything else but COVID. I have this horrible, horrible pain in my kidney area. And what's weird about it is it starts like over here, and then during the day it moves over here, then during the day it moves over here, and it always ends up back over here. It's been like this for the last 5 days. I don't know what the hell happened. I haven't lifted anything, so I can't, say I got injured. I'm baffled, but the shit hurts, man. It's like lower back pain. And, tomorrow I got to go talk to the doctor. I'm going to probably have to get an MRI anyway. And I know I had an infection because I donated blood last Thursday. And Wednesday, I did my regular blood work, and I found out that my white blood cell count was elevated more than my red blood cell count was, which is signs of infection. And then we did the sit down last Sunday. You might remember during the show I said that I was sweating like crazy, but the air conditioner was blasting in here. That might have been the earliest telltale sign, but when I woke up Monday, man, it was unbelievable how shitty I felt. But yesterday I tested negative for the first time. I will tell you, shout out to Mikey, who surprised me. Can't find these anywhere. I ate it before I went live because I didn't want to eat it live on the show and be disrespectful. But he sent me a case of Snickers protein bars that I don't even know where he got them. They weren't expired. I just had one. They're pretty freaking phenomenal. They have like no sugar in them. And I was able to taste it. I lost my taste buds for like 5 days. So I'm still having tea. We got shit to get into. Depending on where you live, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you as always for supporting what we do. I am starting to figure out how we're going to expand beginning 2026. Our footprint here on YouTube is going to expand substantially. Once the history show is over with this year, that will free up a shitload of time for other projects. So haven't figured out exactly what we're going to do online. Not sure if we're going to do something every day, but I will tell you that quite a few people out there are not going to be happy. They're not going to be happy. So believe it or not, I'm actually having lemon zinger tea. So John, who mentioned honey and lemon, I'm having lemon zinger. It's pretty good. I tell you, before we get into anything, for those who are live, much love. I didn't think last week about Evolution being on at the same time. So I know that quite a few of you that normally tune in live are not going to tune in live because of Evolution. Enjoy it. For anybody who is multitasking right now, checking out the show and watching Evolution, I welcome any results that you have. I do know that Becky Lynch retained the Intercontinental Championship. So looks like she's not dropping it anytime soon, even though she's going to be filming that TV pilot, but I don't think she's going to be gone all that much. Obviously, some big things happened on Saturday. All weekend, between Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor, AEW All-In, that was long, and NXT Great American Bash. Now, before I say anything else, when we did predictions last week for all the shows, we talked about Blake Monroe. And last Monday, I said, pay very close attention to see if Blake Monroe is in the Evolution Battle Royal. Because if she isn't, I have a feeling we may see that heel turn come a lot sooner than expected. And then when we did Great American Bash predictions this past Wednesday on a news update, I said I think Blake Monroe is going to turn heel on Jordynne Grace. Now, they ended up having the tag match at the Great American Bash, but Jordynne Grace was outside the ring preoccupied with Fallon Henley, and Blake Monroe was basically in there trying to fend off the other members of Fatal Influence. Now I heard that tonight, Blake Monroe is going to be in the corner of Jordynne Grace. I tell you, that adds a little interesting aspect, because does Blake Monroe celebrate Jordynne Grace's victory and then lays her out? Does it happen that Blake Monroe screws over Jordynne Grace and allows JC Jane to get the victory? I even had this wild thought, like, what if Blake Monroe became like the Mandy Rose of Fatal Influence, have a 4-woman team? I don't know if I would do that. I think Blake Monroe is better suited for herself on her own. But I wonder if tonight Blake Monroe turns. So I haven't seen it yet. So we could definitely talk about some of the things. You know, we'll get into some. I'll ask everybody for your Evolution updates in a moment. Before we get into that, I want to talk a couple of things about Saturday. And listen, you know, it's obviously this is going to be the biggest news story coming out of Saturday. And it's sad that it overshadows a lot of great action that went down, and that is Seth Rollins. What a major blow to Seth Rollins. And for those that didn't see Saturday night's main event, he was having a match with LA Knight, and he tried to do a moonsault off the middle side rope. And when he landed, he immediately went down. And referee was tending to him. LA Knight was trying to go over, and LA Knight sensed that something was majorly wrong already. Somehow Seth Rollins was able to get up. Tough son of a bitch. Finished the match. Took a blunt force trauma and lost to LA Knight. He had to be helped to the back, and Fightful put it out right before it went live. I saw they reported it, that Seth Rollins is backstage at Evolution with a knee brace on and on crutches. So that does not look good. Seth Rollins has a history of knee problems, especially with what's going on right now with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. If Seth Rollins goes down for any period of time, how do you make up for this? You know, we had that, and then listen, I know this is crazy to even bring up, but we talked about it last Monday. Could we see something in the near future where Karrion Kross joins that group, or maybe even has a little schmaz with Braun Breaker? It certainly feels like someone now may need to be added to that group, because Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed on their own. Yeah, I feel it. Braun. I know it sounds goofy, but the team of Braun and Braun, that could be a pretty fucking awesome tag team. Nice little elevation to the tag team division. But I personally think if Seth Rollins needs surgery, and we don't know yet, he's going to get an MRI, I think tomorrow or Tuesday, then we'll know the extent of the injury. Hopefully it's a sprain. But man, the way he went down and his history with knee issues, people are very, very concerned. Very, very concerned. Eric says, add Braun Strowman. Braun, and Braun. That sounds like a nice law firm. Hello, Braun, and Braun. Can I help you? No, Braun is not here. Braun is not here. I think the other Braun may be here. Gunther don't need to be involved with nobody. Let me mention briefly about Goldberg. I did see this thumbnail, though, and I am going to use it for Monday's episode. I'm going to add a little bit extra to it. But if you saw the very end of Saturday night's main event, Goldberg's speech was cut off after about 45 seconds. He actually had an 11-minute speech, and that speech was intended to be after cameras went off the air. They were going to let Goldberg go as long as he wanted. It was nice to see. I really enjoyed Doug Dillinger coming back one more time to knock on the door. Interesting to see Josh Barnett and who's that other guy? Oh, my God. Somebody in the chat room bail me out. The one that was with Hogan that time. That infamous clip when they were in a limo. Chuck Zito, that's who it was. Ernest the Cat Miller was there as well. And funny thing was, when I saw Chuck Zito at first, I thought it was the Brooklyn Brawler, Steve Lombardi. I was like, I don't remember any real history with Steve Lombardi and Goldberg. Like, he wasn't his coffee gopher either. And then I saw the shirt, and I was like, oh, okay, it's Chuck Zito. But it was nice. And Goldberg's son, obviously. Ernest the Cat Miller was there as well. Obviously, you had to limit how many people that were going to be able to go out for him. I'll tell you this much, man. We may have had history go down last night. And unfortunately, I did not time it. I'm pulling up a note to bring up. And you've heard it here first. This is unofficial. But if it is based on what I'm seeing online, last night was historic. And it's still history. It's either going to be number one or number two. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, on Wiki, the official time of Goldberg versus Gunther was 15 minutes and 20 seconds. I saw Wrestle Ops. Literally, when that match ended, they wrote 14 minutes, 18 seconds. I don't know which is true, but I will say this. Wiki earlier on Sunday had 15 minutes, 18 seconds. Maybe they meant to put 15:18 instead of 14:18. It's kind of weird to be off by a full minute, whether they were right or they were wrong. So maybe they meant 15:18. But earlier on Sunday, Wiki had Goldberg-Gunther's match at 15:18, and then it was updated to 15:20. Now, if 15 minutes and 20 seconds or 15 minutes and 18 seconds holds up, get a load of this. That is the longest one-on-one match in Goldberg's history. In his entire career, one-on-one. He was in a Battle Royal or Royal Rumble, so obviously that don't count. I don't count three ways. But on one-on-one, that would be the longest match he has had in his entire career. Let that sink in. What would be next on the list? Well, I looked it up. When Goldberg took on Triple H at Unforgiven 2003, that match went 14 minutes and 57 seconds. So last night is either the longest match in Goldberg's entire career or the second longest match in his entire career. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, when I look back at some of the matches I thought went longer, no, they didn't. It's pretty shocking. Let me share another little tidbit with you. Because you know me, I'm a stat nut, and I always do research. I don't like coming up here without doing research first. And yes, I probably should have rewatched the match today and timed it myself. But, you know, COVID and everything, I'm still dealing with this shit. My head's in a fog. So, since Goldberg won the championship against The Fiend in Saudi Arabia, remember that disaster? That was a little over 5 years ago. So, over the last 5+ years that Goldberg has had matches in the WWE, he has had a total of 6 matches since he beat The Fiend. You know what his record is for those 6 matches? 1-5. 1-5. You know, so for people out there like, oh, Goldberg comes back and they always make him win and this and that. Over the last 5 years, 6 matches, 1-5. The only match he won was against Bobby Lashley, I think, in a Falls Count Anywhere. And here's another thing. When Goldberg beat The Fiend for the championship, he lost it to Braun Strowman about a month later. He lost it about a month later to Braun Strowman. So Goldberg, that is true. If you look it up, I kid you not. And for anybody that's like, oh, he beat Bobby Lashley. Oh, he beat the black guy. Bobby Lashley has a victory over Goldberg as well over those 5 years. So they're 1-1. Just to throw it out there. Because, listen, you know assholes are going to do that shit. I enjoyed the match yesterday. Very well done. My favorite moment, which is probably a lot of your favorite moments, is when Gunther was doing those chops. That wasn't even comedic like Hogan, like hulking up. Goldberg just looked down and he didn't flinch. He just no-sold it as if it was nothing. And it doesn't hurt Gunther in any way because I did watch some live reaction last night and people like, oh, that's so disrespectful to Gunther. It makes his chops look inferior. Says who? Yeah, it says who? I mean, just the way he just stood there and just acted like it didn't happen was fucking great, man, because that shit legitimately hurts. I've watched chop fests up close and personal. I've been in hotel rooms watching wrestlers chop fest each other. And, you know, trust me, without the cameras rolling, you know, you can let out your pain a little bit more expressive. Nobody cares, and it hurts, man. I've taken a few chops, and that shit hurts. So I thought they did a great job yesterday. And I think even there was reports that Gunther, like, showed a little sign of respect to Goldberg right after the match was over. His speech ran about 10 minutes. It was mostly, you know, for the beginning, regionalized to Atlanta, which kind of rubbed me the wrong way because it felt like he was more concerned about performing in Atlanta and for family and friends than the whole wrestling universe. But as I think it kicked in that this was legitimately it, you know, I think he started to get a little bit more humble. And Cody Rhodes coming out, you know, again, for the people like, oh, Cody's going to turn heel soon. And that guy is the leader of the WWE right now. He is the go-to guy for press, for everything. He is the one. I thought it was very well done yesterday. For those out there that want my thoughts on Jelly Roll, the guy has lost a lot of weight. I'm not the biggest fan of celebrities, non-wrestlers having high-profile matches. But one thing that WWE has done a great job of, and that is not make it nauseously obvious that the celebrity is getting the upper hand and somebody's doing the job to them or doing the favors. Like if someone is getting a victory, they're fucking earning it. Greatest example, Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest. I mean, WWE now is much more selective as far as who gets a full-blown match and who just gets a spot. So this is comedy to a certain extent. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre, which is kind of fucking funny in itself. You think of Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. But that's going to be booked for SummerSlam now Fine. No issues with it. What other match was yesterday? Oh, yeah. The Samoans went at it. Last Monday when we did predictions, we predicted we were going to get some bloodline shit going down. And, we saw Solo Sikoa retain the championship over Jimmy Uso. You've seen Tala Tonga and Jacob Fatu get into it a little bit. I don't know, man. Tala Tonga still new, but, he walks over that top rope. It's like he's really thinking about, I better make it over this rope smoothly. There's just something that's, and I know what it is. There's no disrespect against any of those members of the current bloodline. But in my honest opinion, with the exception of Tama Tonga, to me, Tonga Loa, Tala Tonga, JC Mateo, and Solo Sikoa should be in NXT. They should be in NXT. I just don't, it doesn't feel, it just, and I'm still nervous that Survivor Series may end up having, the OG bloodline, even though they're no longer bloodline versus the current bloodline, which would be interesting because Paul Heyman would have nothing to do with it. But if Seth Rollins is out indefinitely, man, briefcase is not a big deal. Briefcase has got a whole year. Seth Rollins could be back for the Rumble, could be back, whatever. Could be back for WrestleMania next year. Don't know. Don't want to see him, out for any extended period of time. I'm really, really concerned what Plan B is going to be. I have no idea what Plan B is going to be. Unless they try to do something with Sami Zayn, which would be whack and weird. But, let's see what Seth Rollins' injury truly is first. By the way, when this show is over, the match that I'm looking forward to the most at Evolution is Jade Cargill and Naomi. Those bitches tore that shit up yesterday. I even saw a video today where Naomi showed up at the merchandise stand and Evolution was tearing up all the Jade Cargill shirts. That's turned into a really fun feud. I hope that match stands out tonight. I did not see Supercard of Honor. I did see the match results. I think we predicted pretty much everything correctly. They added a bunch of filler matches as well. But obviously yesterday, All-In went down in Texas. And, again, I've always said, and you can go check out the shows. No one's going to find anything otherwise. I always said that All-In is going to give your money's worth. You're paying $50, $60 for this pay-per-view. You're going to get your money's worth. They're going to make sure maybe the food, and I'm not saying that it wasn't good. I'm saying that maybe the food at a buffet isn't the greatest 5-star food. But when you walk in there and you pay that entry fee, you're going to eat like a pig. And you're going to walk out of there full. Might be not the most memorable meal you ever had, but you're going to enjoy yourself. There's something for everyone. And that's what it was yesterday. I've only skimmed through a lot of the matches, the ones that I truly wanted to see. I did get a kick out of early on where Trent told Big Boom AJ that he was going to fight for the rights of Big Justice. And I was like, why would you want that? But look, if you checked out my predictions last week, I got 2 matches horribly wrong. And those 2 matches were not Hangman Page winning and Mercedes Moné losing, because both of those predictions were correct. But I honestly thought having Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland lose that match, and then that could set up this year-long build of Will Ospreay wanting the championship, can't fight for the championship. It's kind of like blue balls, and as you get closer to next year, he's going to have the All-In match in Wembley and win the title, and it's a year in a waiting, a year-long build. no matter who the champion is. And I thought also, if Swerve is not going to compete for a world championship for the next 12 months, this is the easiest creative way out of it. Anybody that starts complaining online or calling it a black thing or whatever else, you could just say, no, it was a stipulation. He lost the stipulation. You can't do the match. Fucking Young Bucks lost. So they're no longer EVPs. Somebody's going to have to be the EVP now. Is it going to be Brian Danielson? You know, he made his convenient return yesterday. Darby Allin made his return. You know, when we did predictions, we said that if he's not in that gauntlet, he's going to be involved in the main event, and he was. As far as the main event goes, look, 2 main events, my honest opinion. Oh, the other match I got terribly wrong was Okada and Kenny Omega. I thought Kenny Omega was going to win both, kind of bring Okada down a little bit, but no, Kenny Omega lost it. The Elite lost yesterday for the most part, except for Hangman, even though he's not part of that group right now. 2 things I have to say. First of all, Mercedes Moné losing. And I saw somebody send this in a few minutes before we went live, and who gets the shout out for this? This goes out to Police Squad. He says, DT, you were right. Mercedes Moné lost it all in. I guess she doesn't have creative control after all. Listen, on the History Show, about 3 weeks ago, was the 1-year anniversary. And if you look at my synopsis, you'll see exactly how I wrote it. I said it was the 1-year anniversary that Mercedes Moné pissed off the IWC, claiming that she has creative control. And let me make this perfectly clear. A lot of wrestlers in AEW have creative input. The difference is Tony Khan is the boss. And especially that ego that you have to feed to him as the boss. Those wrestlers always make Tony Khan feel like he's the one that makes the decisions. All right, but when wrestlers go up to Tony Khan and say, listen, I think I should do this, he'll turn around and say, whatever you say, you're the GOAT, whatever you say, whatever you say, whatever you say. Which way did he go, George? Which way did he go? Like, whatever you say, like, he's going to melt. Mercedes Moné, when she suggests ideas to Tony Khan, you think he sits there and says, that doesn't work for me, brother. Or, Mercedes, I don't think that's a good, what if we do this? I could picture Mercedes. Tony, really? And Tony be like, you do what you want. That's a little bit of creative control. When a wrestler, trust me, when wrestlers go up to, whatever you say, you're the one in the ring. I trust you. You can say what you want. I trust you. I know you're going to do the right thing. You are the GOAT. You are the boat. You are the load. Whatever you want to oat in. That's a form of creative control. But I've always said, the IWC listened to what Mercedes Moné did, and I've said this for well over a year. When she does these interviews in radio stations and she talks about all the power and this and that, I always said that I think she's a lot in character. This is building up. If you're the CEO, you can't just be the CEO when you're on Dynamite, Collision, or a pay-per-view. You got to be the CEO and play it out wherever you go with TMZ, TM this, AM this, Hot 97, whatever interviews you do, you got to act like the CEO. When she first came in, I said right from the beginning, she should have walked in there day one in Boston, and she should have said, I want that. I want that title. Remember I said, how many times did I say that? Well over a year ago. I want that. I want that. I want everything. I am the CEO. I want it all. Just, I can't do it without the lisp. That's what she should have done. So, people really took it so seriously. And honestly, with predictions, I said, Mercedes Moné loses no titles by losing at All-In. All her belts, she still got them. Tony's thought, the first telltale sign was that none of Mercedes' belts were on the line. I mean, if they would have had Mercedes put her belts up on the line as well, that sure would have made things a little bit more interesting. Like, wow, Tony Storm could end up fucking doing like Sasuke and Ultimo Dragon. But they put none of her belts up on the line. So I was like, okay, if she loses, she still got all the championship titles. That was the telltale sign. Plus, take note of the fact that, where do you go from here? AEW would not be better by Mercedes having both championships. Who's she going to lose the title to? When you really look at that roster right now, who's she going to lose the title to if she ended up winning Tony's belt? This keeps a good balance. So Tony Storm winning it was the right way to go. Even if Mercedes Moné had total creative control, which she doesn't, but even if she did, at some point Mercedes Moné is going to say, look, I think she should defeat me. I think she should defeat me. I think I should lose it here. It's common sense. For some reason people I think people take it too much to heart that when you have creative control, that means invincibility. How many wrestlers have you enjoyed and became a huge fan of over the years, and they're not selfish? They're not selfish. They don't bitch and they complain when they have to job. Look at Seth Rollins, how many times he jobbed the Punk. And he just, what's best for business. I'm not going on a Rollins gushing campaign. I'm just using him as an example. People mistake control with invincibility. Just because someone may have a little bit more control of their character and direction doesn't mean that they immediately think, I got to win every time. I have to be Sting. I have to be just like Sting. Not everybody has that mindset. Some people do realize. I think, who I think is like that? Will Ospreay. Not a big fan of his, but I always got the vibe that Will Ospreay many times feels, you know what? I don't need to win this match. This will just make the hunt even bigger. That's why I thought him losing it All In was the right way to go. Because that wanting for a whole year and being teased towards the latter part of the next 12 months would have been a perfect way to go. The second thing is Hangman Page. If you checked out my predictions last week and even the last couple of weeks, Texas, 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 Texas. Why do you think the Von Erichs kept the Texas belts for all this time? And Dustin Rhodes and the sons of Texas, 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 Texas. Surprised they didn't do a deal with Texas Roadhouse. Buy a gift card. But my point is, they were heavily going to feature Texas as part of this. And that's smart. That's smart because when, listen, back in the day, one of the things I always thought WWF really fucked up about was you come to a certain state, you got people on your roster that are from that area and massively over. Even if you put them on in a dark match, a Sunday Night Heat or something else, give them a little bit of an extra rub. You see that person advertised locally, you might spark a few extra tickets being bought. So I thought some of what went down yesterday was for Texas. Dustin Rhodes winning his third championship all at the same time at the age of 55. The only reason why I don't knock it is because that guy could still work, and the guy puts a shitload into AEW, not just what you see on the camera, but what you see off camera. So I can't knock that at all. Hangman Page, was interesting. Of all the feedback that I have seen about Hangman Page winning yesterday, the one that stuck out to me the most is something that John Alba said. And I don't talk to him. We don't follow each other. But he said that he thinks that Hangman Page would have worked well if he was in the 70s or in the 80s as a wrestler. And a lot of people immediately say, oh, that guy the way he acts and the way he is talked about, the elders in wrestling, he wouldn't survive in the 70s. And listen, make no mistake about it, I am not a fan of Hangman Page. I don't like the character. I don't like the person. I don't like his, to me, it's cowboy bitch, like more than anything. But I also, hear me out, I also understand he's a product of today's society. And for over 20 years, even going back to the early 2000s when I was still doing the hotlines, I was saying, we're in the beginning of the pussification of America. Over the last 25 years, we have brought up a generation of snowflakes, a generation of people that can't handle certain aspects of life. Not saying everybody's like that, and I'm not saying even that Hangman Page does all of that. But when I see Hangman Page, some of the way he reacts and some of the way he, views things, he's a product of today's society. And that's not abnormal. I personally think if Hangman Page was 25 years old in 1975, that life is totally different than what it is now. The mindset is different. The attitude is different. I don't think he would be, the millennial cowboy in 1975. I think he'd be more like the Morrow Man, because that's just how life was at that time. I'm not saying that he would be like, more white trash or this. No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying that, you got to look at the society as a whole. That's why, to be honest with you, that's why a lot of vile shit that we watched wrestlers do, from Triple H to DX and everybody else and others, do 30 years ago, now they think it's disgusting and want to erase history. When Triple H went blackface and did The Rock, at that time it was mocking the Nation of Domination. Do I think they were trying to be racist? No, absolutely not. But 30 years later, they're not proud of stuff like that. That is called evolving and changing with the times. 30 years ago, your mindset was a little bit different. Your motives were certainly different. So I agree. I think that the crock. Could you smell what the crock is cooking? The crock. It was good, though. Remember the eyebrow? That was good shit. I actually think last week's history show was the anniversary of that, too. So I honestly think Hangman Page would have been a great Southern Texas wrestler in the 70s. Giving me a little Magnum TA vibes, so to speak. I don't know where you go from here. He's obviously a massive babyface amongst AEW fans. So they have plenty of people to put him up against. The question is, how long does he keep the championship and who does he drop it to? I personally think at some point this year, Darby Allin will have that championship. I don't care that he did an interview and said, Tony, I don't need the title. I don't need the bullshit. You got to represent that company. There is a whole boatload of AEW fans that want to see Darby Allin as champion. What you want and what's best for the company is two totally different things. So I don't buy that for a second. So I thought the right person won yesterday. As far as, the people saying, looking back, the Death Riders saved AEW and the Death Riders were great for AEW. Listen, the only reason why baby faces became bigger when they feuded with the Death Riders is because people like, please take the title off of Moxley. Please get these motherfuckers off my TV. Please let someone stop their shit. That's not, we're great heels. No, people were so angry and tired and pissed off and please, who's going to be that person? That's what the vibe was. Doesn't mean that Mox and Claudio and Yuta and Shafia didn't work hard trying to make it work, but that Death Rider storyline to me was just shit, garbage. E for effort, just F for just the overall vibe about it. So Hangman taking the title off is great yesterday. Now I want to see the Death Riders implode. Now I want them to eat within themselves, blame it on each other, and fucking implode. Go your separate ways. Let Yuta go to, I don't know, let him go to the PXW universe. Let him go to a different planet. Claudio is fine. Shafir, I don't know if Shafir's abilities have improved off of this. Like if you look at the last year and what she's been doing, has she actually improved? Like in the ring? I mean, I don't know if there's been any improvement or development there. And give some Moxley time off. I would say give Moxley some time off. But look, I've watched a bunch of matches in AEW already. Oh, there is one other thing I want to say. And thank you, Police Squad, for that. As far as All-In yesterday, I was looking at stats, and this kind of blew me away. The average match time for All-In, the average match time for 12 matches, average 25 minutes, 21 seconds. That is ridiculous. Listen, I'm a supporter of professional wrestling. I want to enjoy AEW more than I am right now. There are aspects of it that I really like. There are aspects of it that turn me off completely. The IWC, that part of AEW just turns me off entirely. Especially when you have people for years and years and years treating other people like shit. And then when they start getting shit handed back over to them, not trying to single this guy out, sorry for doing this, but then you get Dustin Rhodes. Can we all just love wrestling? Where the fuck was your mouth the last 5 years? Dax, where the fuck was your mouth the last 3 years? For 3 years when everybody was acting like a total dick, and trust me, I got tons of screenshots of shit over the years because we have a history show. These motherfuckers said nothing. Now when it's kind of getting like, the sausage is getting rammed up some people's asses a little bit, then suddenly it's like, can we all just love wrestling? Can we all just get along? No. You don't get to say that after 3 or 4 years of silence. Silence! But I will say this. If I could describe the IWC aspect of AEW, even some wrestlers there, I could actually narrow AEW fan base, the radical fan base, down to one word: insecurity. Because when you look at yesterday and the feedback, this is the most amazing card in the history of wrestling. This match is one of the greatest in my lifetime. The greatest. This, the Martin Scorsese cinema, and this and that. Every fucking event, cinema. When you do that every single time AEW has a pay-per-view, that is the insecurity on steroids. That is the best way I could describe the radical side of AEW. Insecurity. Always gotta prop themselves up. Oh, WWE's putting Great American Bash against AEW. How are you losing any ticket sales over that? I'm going to go drive to Georgia instead of Texas. How are you losing ticket sales over that? How are you losing pay-per-view buys? If someone says, I'm going to watch Great American Bash at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, what's stopping that person saying, I'm going to order All-In at 6 o'clock at night? Remember, my friends, I'm sorry for repeating myself, but a lot of these schmucks in the wrestling analytics world don't remind you, is that weekly Dynamite and Collision is a rating. Dynamite between 8 and 10, Collision, days of the week may differ, but it's usually 8 and 10 as well. Wherever the viewership is, during 8 to 10, you get that rating. And when it's low, the max numbers don't count. Trust me, if the Max numbers were huge, Max would issue a press release. Max would say something. Max would try to tell their investors, look, we have this. The AEW is not even mentioned when Max talks about upcoming shows and successful stuff and this and that. Go look at all the press releases outside of pro wrestling. In the wrestling world, you think AEW is the most amazing, epic, unbelievable, tremendous thing on Max. You go outside of wrestling, the wrestling world, and everything about Warner Brothers Discovery, AEW is never mentioned 99.9% of the time. So much for those major viewers. And they plug shows that get maybe 20% of the alleged viewership that AEW does. Why would it be so secret? Why would it be so secret if it's such a great thing? Putting that aside, I saw people yesterday, AEW All-In has surpassed WrestleMania 35 as the longest wrestling pay-per-view in history. I put that on the level as Carmella having the longest reign of the Money in the Bank briefcase without cashing it in. That's not something to brag about. Carmella had the longest time that she had the briefcase without cashing it in is futility. WrestleMania 35 happens to be the last time that WrestleMania was only one night. Because even WWE realized we'd be Polacks if we continue doing WrestleMania one night for 5 fucking hours of matches and 6 hours of matches. We got to do it across 2 nights. Let's get general admission twice instead of once. So bragging that it surpassed WrestleMania 35 and the fact that only one match was under 10. Let me put it this way. The one match for All In was under 12 minutes yesterday. Every match was above 12 minutes except for the first one. And obviously they cut that one down because the Sons of Texas and Dustin had to wrestle again later on in the night. What does that tell you? You know, it feels like even the wrestlers, you've committed your career to us. You get a 13-minute match. You get an 18-minute match. No. You don't have to worry. You're not going to lose in 45 seconds. No. Stop crying. No. Calm down. No. It's okay. You're going to get a 14-minute match. You know, having every match where there's 2 count. You know, and everything is above 12 minutes. You know, it's not about length. It's about story and telling and, you know, having the match tell a story. Having someone fall on their fucking head going off the Empire State Building and they still kick out at 2 because the match only went 7 minutes so far is ridiculous. There was a lot of matches yesterday that should have been ended half the time. But the people who paid enjoyed it. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. So for me, looking at that time, you ain't gonna fucking get me to do a watch along for 6 fucking hours or even recap that in all in one sitting. You know, that was 8 hours between zero. You just let it sink in. It started around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was still on TV during Saturday night's main event. Saturday night's main event ended yesterday. And I went on YouTube because I wanted to see the full Goldberg speech. And you know what kept coming up in my recommended feed? The media scrum, Fall In, media scrum. It was fucking 11 o'clock at night, and its media scrum said live. The media scrum was almost 2.5 hours. That's insanity. That's not history, that's insanity. So good for everybody who enjoyed it. I will say one last thing in closing. At least they did it at 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern time. Do that shit at 6-7 o'clock at night, and that vibe of that premium live pay-per-view, would feel quite differently right now. Having it in the afternoon is much more manageable. You know, you could listen to it in the background during. You could be doing things. You just think, people that actually tuned into the pre-show were having a late breakfast. It was past dinner time and the fucking shit wasn't even over with yet. So how does AEW lose any pay-per-view buys because the Great American Bash was on at the same time? You order it later on. The pay-per-view buy rate is not between the hours of 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. The pay-per-view buy rate is everybody that orders the pay-per-view, whether they did it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 10 o'clock at night or 9 a.m. the next morning or right now at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. That's the pay-per-view buy rate. So anybody who's trying to feed this stuff like, oh, WWE's trying to stick it to them and AEW is getting hit because of Great American Bash or Saturday Night's Main Event, that's bullshit. that is bullshit, because whenever you order a pay-per-view, you're still counted as one purchase. And always remember that, especially these people, because that's that I word, insecurity. You know, when you look at ratings, in fact, I have something, I don't have it in his computer, and I'm very, very sorry, but I will post it next week. 5 years ago at this time, maybe even been 6 years ago. No, it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago at this time, Tony Khan posted a tweet. And that tweet is what changed with Meltzer and the elite wrestling media and how they talk about AEW's ratings. When I post this screenshot of this tweet from 5 years ago, it says it all. Just to summarize it, I'll give you a little teaser now. Tony Khan said he is obsessed with ratings. He is obsessed with ratings. Demo is nice, but at the end of the day, they want to be number one. Even if it's a demo, they want to beat everybody. That's why, even if the overall rating is garbage, the first thing out of Meltzer's mouth will be, they were number one for the night. Wait, they didn't even draw 650,000 viewers. There's shows that have 3 million people on it to say, how's it number one for the night? Oh, the 18 to 25 demo was 0.18. That was number one for the night. So before they even tell you what the number is, they say, oh, AEW is the number one for the night. Because that tweet that Tony Khan posted, that he is obsessed with being number one, that's what changed with the way that they talked about AEW's ratings. That's why a year before, Dave Meltzer writes, you know, the overall rating matters. Then after Tony Khan's tweet, the demo will always be brought up first and foremost. They were number 3 for the night. Do you know yesterday's history episode I put up? I don't have the numbers in front of me, and then we'll move on. This past week was the anniversary of 2021's AEW Fighter Fest. 2021 AEW Fighter Fest. One of the main events, I think, was Lance Archer versus Jon Moxley, and the other main event might have been Ethan Page versus somebody. The cards were nothing spectacular. And do you know those 2 weeks of AEW Fighter Fest on Dynamite in 2021 one week did almost 1.1 million, and the second week did almost 1.2 million. And for those obsessed with demos, the demos were like 0.46. Now, when it's 0.16, oh, it was number one for the night. Do you think viewing has changed that radically in 4 years? No, it hasn't. But just to show you how dramatically the numbers have changed. Because you go back 4 years ago, remember, we were during COVID. We were in COVID. And Monday Night Raw was doing 1.4 million, 1.5 million, 1.6 million, 1.3 million. What does Raw, what does SmackDown do now on the USA Network? 1.4 million, 1.3 million, July 4th they did 1,100,000. So it's the holiday is pre-taped, but average, they're doing the same what USA Network did 4 years ago. There's no change. Go look it up. But people will insist to you, although viewing habits changed. That's why, to me, if AEW ever goes to streaming only, it'll be the most beautiful thing. And wrestling news nuts and analytics and ratings junkies will they're gonna be in massive withdrawal because they ain't getting no streaming numbers for AEW anymore. Honestly, I know this sounds nuts. I can imagine David Zaslav telling Tony Khan, listen, we want to move AEW to strictly Max, all streaming. I think the first words out of Tony Khan's mouth would be, how do we get the ratings? How are we going to report the ratings? How do we do that? Are we going to get the ratings? Can we release the ratings? How are we going to do the ratings? I honestly think that because he's obsessed with ratings. Obsessed. So it'll be fascinating. It will not hurt AEW. If they go to streaming in the future, that's the future. 10 years from now, almost all wrestling is going to be streaming only. Mark my words. And it'll be a great thing. especially the fact that, 150 million people have Max right now? That's more than even regular cable TV when you think about it. So, all right. So those were my quick overall thoughts. I do want to say one last thing. I definitely need to mention it. Adam Cole. This is a picture from yesterday. I posted on the screen. I've always been an Adam Cole fan. You've never heard me say that he looks like he's in a 17-year-old's body. I've never made those jokes about how, small he is and everything like that, but I have been concerned about his size. And the reason why I say that is because he looks frail. This is not a guy who's a gym rat. Trust me, if that guy started eating 5,000 calories of protein every day and was in the gym working out, he would gain muscle. But I don't think that's his deal. I think it's more cardio. I think, he's more, I think he's completely content with this physique, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he looks frail. There's a difference. We have many wrestlers that are his size. We got one right now with much less body fat, but you look at El Grande Americano, El Grande, the Kaiser, Ludwig Kaiser doing it. I mean, they're very, very similar in size. Kaiser's got a little less body fat, but the thing is, Adam Cole yesterday is not medically cleared. And he had to surrender the TNT title, and he is now teasing retirement. Do I think he retires from AEW? Only if a doctor tells him you can't wrestle anymore. I think, that him teasing this may be goodbye. To me, I thought of Brian Danielson right away. I'm like, yeah, you tease goodbye. This way, if you do make a return, you show up, everybody will, that pop when that music hits, fucking people start crying in the crowd. It's to add emotion, but honestly, I'm very concerned about Adam Cole's pro wrestling future. Apparently, when he had the little schmaz with Kyle Fletcher the other day and Kyle Fletcher hit him with the clothesline, the lariat, and he stood down, people are worried that it was another concussion. And, look, we've talked about concussions over the years. It's one of the things that WWE is really, really concerned about with Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss is doing great right now. She's healthy. But Alexa Bliss has had a history of concussions, and a lot of people are worried that the next one, that's going to could be it for her as far as wrestling goes. There are many wrestlers who have had a history of concussions. How you get concussion prone is a little bit strange. I'm going to tell you something about me that I've talked about in the past, and I'm not comparing myself to Adam Cole, but you'll understand where I'm going with this, okay? I went to wrestling school in 2008, I think it was. Went to wrestling school. And I trained with VPW for 9 months. It was not good. I ended up doing wrestling managing stuff, but I was doing back bumps, running the ropes, doing back bumps, this and that. Every time. Now, I have a 17 and a half, 18-inch neck. Okay, I consider myself a pretty strong guy. I've always been strong. Maybe fat strong to an extent, but I played football in high school. I have strength. I can handle myself. I'm 6'4". But every time I did a back bump, you know what happened to me? The back of my head would hit the mat. I threw up numerous times. And I kept trying, and no matter what I did, my head would still hit the back. And the trainers were telling me, tuck your neck in, tuck your neck. I'm Grim Reaper. A lot of you know Grim Reaper. Grim Reaper saw me one time keep hitting my head, and he's like, try this. No matter what I did, I could not tuck my head in. And I realized when I had my car accident in 1997, it left my neck and my spine much worse than I ever thought it did. And the only reason why I never thought it was worse because number one, I didn't have pain like that. Yes, I was on painkillers, but I didn't have pain like that. I wasn't experiencing numbness. I had dropped foot for a year, but I didn't have any complications to make me be concerned about my neck. When you just go through life, working in an office, doing a hotline, watching TV and sitting on your fat butt for most of the time and just chores around the house, you don't really require neck strength all that much. And I realized my neck was much weaker than I thought. And now I'm starting to wonder with Adam Cole. You look at him, again, I look at his NXT days, and the one thing I feel about Adam Cole is his neck looks smaller. His upper body area, I'm not even saying his arms, but he looks frail. He looks smaller. And I wonder if him falling, he's doing that same thing, that his neck is much weaker than maybe he even thought, and that could be him getting these concussions. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not even going to speculate that that's what it is, but I am really, really concerned for Adam Cole. I look at him, and I got to reset something here because my screen just froze, but I look at him and I think to myself, something is wrong. You just look at, these moves. Remember he was in that three-way or four-way match with Okada, and he went down and people were like, where did he get hurt? I'm telling you, I think that's what it is. Could he have a spinal issue? That could be it. I don't know. Could he need to get some form of neck surgery? Possibly. But these concussions are a little bit strange. You know what I mean? Like, you look back at when Kyle Fletcher hit him with the clothesline. It's not like he hit him in the head. It's not like it was an errant shot. He went down and he had a hard time getting back up. And when I saw that and I looked closely, I thought to myself, I was like, wow, it kind of really makes me flash back to, my awful realization about neck. So I hope he's okay. I really do. So best wishes go out to Adam Cole, but his future in wrestling could be done. All right. We've rambled for an hour. I think this was important enough to talk about. Seth Rollins' injury, Goldberg, what happens next, All-In, Saturday night's main event. Now, what's going on so far with Evolution? Give me Evolution. Now, tomorrow, Monday night after Raw, we'll get into results. We'll fill in the blanks for some of the things that we didn't talk about tonight. We'll get into, by tomorrow night, I would have seen pretty much almost everything. Some of the matches I'm going to watch on 1.5 times speed. There ain't no fucking way I'm going to sit here and watch 8 hours of AEW and Ring of Honor combined, 9 hours. It ain't happening. I'll watch it on 1.5 times speed. Sorry, Big Boom AJ. Might have to skip your shit. We're gonna definitely get into everything. So, all right, give me some match results. First. Did Blake Monroe turn on Jordan Grace? That's the one I want to know more than anything. Jade Cargill just won. We expected that. Naomi don't lose no briefcase, even if Jade wins. Blake Monroe turned. Yeah, we got a couple of things wrong in the predictions, no question, but we especially, Blake Monroe, yeah. But who won? Did JC Jane win? Or because I'd be honest with you, when Blake Monroe wanted to be in Jordan Grace's corner, I'm like, she's going to fuck Jordan Grace. That's a pretty interesting position to put JC Jane in, because would you want Masha Slamovic to be NXT champion? It's not bad. I'm not crapping on it. But boy, would that sound like Jordan Grace. It's kind of like what a moment for her to come back to TNA and become TNA and NXT champion. JC Jane retained. Wow. So Blake Monroe did screw over Jordan Grace. When you saw Great American Bash, when Jordan Grace was outside the ring, I was like, oh, I could see it. I could see it. Blake Monroe, you were more concerned about Fallon Henley than the match itself. So now we get the Blake Monroe, Jordan Grace feud. No belts on the line. No belts on the line. All right. So Jade Cargill won. And I'm looking forward to that match more than anything. Someone just said Jade's best match so far yet in the WWE. That's Michael Gonzalez saying that. Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez retained. We expected that. What other matches are we missing here? So we have Becky Lynch retained, which I got wrong. I thought Lara Vacaria would win it back. So Becky Lynch retains her championship. JC Jane retains her champ. Remember what we said last week? Why are you going to do all these big title changes on a premium live event that Triple H didn't even want to do? I know that sounds awful, but Triple H just feels everybody should be treated equal. You know, why should we do an all-women's thing? We give women opportunity. Why should... And honestly, my answer to that is because the women want it. The women want to have this once every couple of years. Give it to them. Even if you feel, we give women plenty of time on the other shows. They push more now than they did in 2018. So what? Give it to them. Tiffany Stratton retained. Yeah, we didn't think really there was going to be much of title change, although I still think Jordan Grace holding up the TNA Women's Knockouts Championship and NXT would have been pretty fucking cool. They're not going that route. I got to show you all something about a former trailblazer. I hate that word now. Doesn't it feel like the word trailblazer is misused or abused? Kelly. Barbie Blank. Sometimes you used to say that you look in her head. There's nothing wrong. You look in her head, you won't find nothing. I'm not going to start shitting on Barbie Blank, but I got to show you something. Did you all see what she wrote on Twitter today? I took it the wrong way. And I don't know if you all feel the same way I do, but I want to show you something. A fan gave Kelly props and, was wondering if Kelly is going to be at Evolution 2. Kelly said no. She will not be at Evolution 2. Would you like to hear her reason why Kelly will not be at Evolution 2? I'm going to read what she said. You tell me if this kind of like rubbed you the wrong way. Kelly says, I was so honored to be invited to Evolution 2. To sit in the crowd, it just didn't feel like the right way to come back. I'll always be proud to have been part of the first. My heart is with every woman in that ring tomorrow. I'll be back when the time is right. My interpretation was, you fucking prima donna. We know what you look like. You can't sit at the front row and just show a little respect for the women of today, that it's got to be a full-blown return. Hello. I don't know. I read that and I was like, wow, that's kind of selfish of you. No, I'm not going to sit front row. That's not good enough for me. I need a return. I don't know. What do you guys think of that? I kind of thought that was kind of like selfish and fucked up, especially because she was asked. Mandy Rose posted a little video. She was sitting at her couch and she was making fun of the fact that her phone rang. And on the screen, it said, waiting for the Evolution 2 call. And she had the Facts of Life music playing in the background, and the phone call was not from WWE. So apparently Mandy Rose was not invited to go sit front row. So, I don't know. I just felt, okay, Kelly, you were asked to come sit front row, and that wasn't good enough? No, I want a full-blown return. It's beneath me to sit front row. I'm not mad. I'm not going to lose no sleep. Oh, my God. No. Now imagine if Nikki Bella, before we go off the air, imagine if Nikki Bella wins that fucking Battle Royal, because that's the only match that's left. Oh, no, you have Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. Imagine if Nikki Bella wins that Battle Royal. By the way, Bianca Belair, she was the referee of the street fight, I should say, of Jade Cargill and Naomi. So I out of all the matches, I want to see that one more than anything. So everybody's saying it was an excellent match. Rocky Red says, gauntlet match made for Raw tomorrow. CM Punk, Braun Breaker, Penta, Jey Uso, and LA Knight. Winner faces Gunther at SummerSlam. I would go with CM Punk. CM Punk versus Gunther at SummerSlam? Yeah, I'm digging that. Before anybody asks, I did see the rumors. Gunther may be John Cena's final opponent at the end of the year. I don't know how I feel about that, because now it feels like title versus title. Going out of 2025 with Gunther holding both belts. Seth is not going to cash in unless he is not going to be injured. From what we see yesterday, Seth Rollins may be seriously injured. So I hope it's just a sprain. But even if it's a sprain, man, that's going to take 6 to 8 weeks at minimum. I don't know. I think it's Zoe Stark's recent injury. Now, hers was different because of the way that she landed. But, when I saw that yesterday, I immediately thought of Zoe Stark. I'm like, oh, shit. This could be up to a year if he tore what people are fearing that he tore. So, but you know what? He'll get the MRI Tuesday, and we'll find out sooner than later. Let me put it this way. If they do an injury angle tomorrow where somebody takes out Rollins in the back, and listen, I'm not going like this because I do blow. I've had COVID all week, and I've been blowing my schnozzle all week. So it just itchy. Why are they doing a gauntlet match? Oh, very easy. Because that's 30 minutes. That's 1/4 of Raw. Done. So you have a gauntlet match. CM Punk, Braun Breaker, Penta, Jey Uso, LA Knight. Isn't it interesting? LA Knight's on Raw? SmackDown guy. It'd be interesting if it comes down to CM Punk and LA Knight as the main event. But yeah, no, that'll be 30 to 40 minutes of Raw. So that's an easy way to, do a good quarter of the show. All right, let's get into some other questions, some super chats as well. I want to thank you very much, all of you, for your generosity. Channel members on YouTube, much love. Rocky Red is in the house. Loose Cannon Creations. Havili, tune in Brisbane. Right now, it's got to be mid-morning in Australia. Rojo Bear is in the house. Austin Nance is holding down the ship. Much love to all of you. For our Patreon family, much love to you as well. I know some people obviously didn't hear the shows for the last 2 weeks. We were not doing a predictions contest this weekend. We will be doing one in a very near future. Might even do it for TNA next week to shake it up a little bit. So, big shout out to Tommy D. Tommy, thank you very much, my friend. Goldberg did great at Saturday night's main event for his final match. What is my favorite Goldberg match of all time? For me, I'll tell you this much. Last night was entertaining. Would I put it at the top? No. I would probably put Goldberg Hogan just because of the vibe of the Georgia Dome that night. But Goldberg DDP is up there as well. Goldberg and Raven was great. That was an underappreciated match. Goldberg, Steven Regal, for obvious reasons, but that was more because, Goldberg needed to come down to earth a little bit. But for me, it would be Goldberg Hogan or Goldberg DDP, Halloween Havoc. So those would be my choices. Havili, thank you for the 50 spot, my friend. Thoughts on Charlotte's interview with The Undertaker and Michelle McCool? And they talked about how Undertaker used to babysit her, and Michelle was trying to convince the Undertaker to do a nude photo shoot. What's my favorite ice cream? And did I figure out my celebrity? What was HP again last week? I'm just trying to remember what HP stood for. Someone in the chat, don't super it. Just tell me what HP is. Totally forgot about HP. Hewlett Packard. Now, I did see most of the interview that they had with Charlotte. The nude story actually, I don't remember what year it was. I don't know if it was 2010. I don't remember. Well, it could have even been earlier than that. My hall pass. Wait a minute. Last week I was looking at celebrity crushes. So I'm a little confused. What would be the difference between that and a hall pass? Would that be cutting out of school just to hang out with someone? Would that be it? Cutting out of school to hang out with somebody? So my hall pass. So someone in the chat explained that to me a little bit more, because I did celebrity crush last week and I narrowed it down to one person. And she's a model. I didn't want to do porn star, and I didn't want to cause a little controversy, but I'll tell you who it is in a minute. I just want to see what this hall pass meaning is, so I answer it properly. Here's the deal with The Undertaker and the nude photo shoot, because I do remember we covered it in some way, but a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about when I mention it. Back years ago, especially, ESPN would do these covers where an athlete would be pretty much naked. And they would have, an issue where there would be multiple personalities. It wasn't always just athletes. They would do celebrities and musicians a little bit as well. We've seen some women in wrestling do a photo shoot that looks nude. Hey, Shawn Michaels had that infamous one with him with the belt over, In fact, I was just watching for the history show, just for historic purposes, when Drake Maverick was the 24/7 champion, and he was in the hotel room and he was about to sleep with his wife for the first time, and they tried to make it seem like all he was wearing was the 24/7 belt around his waist, like he was naked underneath it. But when R-Truth came in and into the hotel room, if you look, you see a little stringent of white. So he had tighty whities on. But as far as, now I got hall pass. My choice doesn't change. You need to have a hall pass for permission to go down. I get it. It would have been interesting if I used a hall pass this week. It would have been like the dentist office. You ever go to like the dentist and they put Novocaine and you don't like feel nothing, you don't taste nothing, you're like this week I couldn't taste nothing. So honestly, I could have had a dead corpse in my bed. I mean, I didn't do anything this week, but I could have had a dead corpse in my bed, and I would have got the hall pass. I would have been down there, and I would be like, I don't taste nothing. I don't smell nothing. I don't taste nothing. So my hall pass growing up, when I thought about it, my choice is people would be like, really? All right. I got to get her name. Hold on. I got to get her name. I just drew a blank. Hold on. It'll definitely be worth it. I don't want to say the name of the group. Okay. All right. I got it. Hold on. Okay. I got it. Okay. My hall pass growing up in the 80s, Susanna Hoffs, the Bengals. Listen, you wanted one that, listen, everybody's like Cindy Crawford and this and this and that. To me, I was like, I got to choose someone that no one else would choose. Susanna Hoffs from the Bengals. walk like Egyptian. That would have been my hall pass. That's my choice. So, is it a good one? Is it a good one? I love people's reactions to that. My hall pass would be Susanna Hoffs. I'm looking. Left Twix says Tori Wilson for him. I always thought Tori Wilson was extremely attractive. I did see the Playboy shoot. And I remember her and Sable, and I also remember Al Wilson. Tori Wilson was involved in some kinky shit in the WWE back in the day. King Arthur is not too happy with my choice. He thinks it's kind of mid. I wanted to pick somebody that no one else would have chosen. I don't know. Tori Wilson was in the crowd. Yeah, because Tori Wilson, listen, I'm not trying to throw shade on Kelly. But that's the difference of why Tori Wilson is celebrated more in the WWE and Kelly is not. Tori Wilson understands, okay, I'm there to show support. Go in the back, hang out with some of the ladies, show my appreciation for the women of today. This way, as time goes by, people will forget how shitty I was in the ring, and I'll be labeled as a trailblazer too. And Kelly, none of that went to her head. Kelly, no, I'm not going to go hang out backstage with all the NXT women and the women that I used to hang out with. Like, oh my God, how many years it's been? Oh my God, you look amazing. How are the kids? Oh my God. No, Kelly's like, no, I want to push. I'll come back. Give me a push. That's listen, I don't dislike Kelly. But I don't know, I read that and I was like, I was kind of fucking selfish. It's not like you just would have sat front row and then go home. You would have had cake after. There would have been coffee in the back. Cake and coffee. Never turned down cake and coffee, man. All right. So, a lot of you may remember ESPN would do these photo shoots where the athletes would be naked, but they would be posing a certain way. Charlotte Flair did one. If you remember, Charlotte Flair did the pose where she was turned a certain way. It kind of saw like her entire body. Undertaker did not want to do that. And listen, I thought Undertaker's physique was impressive, especially when he was American Badass. It did seem like he was a little bit more jacked than he was before. But I always felt, and I'm not throwing any shade on it, look at me. You imagine if I did that? You need a double issue. You'd have to turn the centerfold just to turn it this way. But Undertaker, I always felt, had a little bit more beer flab than we thought. Because if you remember, he always wore like the leather pants. Yeah, listen, who would have wanted to see Undertaker in trunks? Can you imagine Undertaker in trunks and it said dead man? Like, it wouldn't work. But you never even really saw like Undertaker like hanging out in a pool. You never saw Undertaker in the gym wearing a pair of shorts or jean shorts. I'm hanging out in Texas, I'm doing an interview, I'm shooting a rifle in the back, target practice. He's always wearing long pants. Like, when was the last time you saw Undertaker wearing shorts? So I always felt maybe Undertaker a little too soft in some areas and thought maybe he's like the Pillsbury Dead Man, the Pillsbury Doughboy. So that was my take. Oh, yeah, no, Luke says Susanna Hoffs looks amazing for 66. See, that's the thing that saddens me as I get older. Like, I think back, I told this story not too long ago that, Memorial Day, I always think of Memorial Day because in 1990, is when I met this woman who was a little bit older than me, like 12, 13 years older. And, it was amazing. I mean, I was, 20 at the time, going on 21, and meet this 30-year-old woman and hanging out with her and having a little relationship, which my father ended up banning on me. But that was nice in 1990. Now, if my doorbell rings, it's 2025. So if she was 30 in 1990, she's now 65. I don't want no 65-year-old ringing my doorbell unless you're bringing me my Uber food. Like, you realize as people get older, like, same thing for me. Same thing for me. So that's why Undertaker turned it down, in my honest opinion. I think Undertaker is a little soft in some areas, especially back then. Plus, could you picture the dead man without any clothes on? Like, you almost feel like when Undertaker, hopefully not anytime soon, when Undertaker passes away, like, you just imagine him in the morgue. It's like, I don't picture him naked with a tag on his toe. I honestly picture them about to, like, cut him open, and he's like this. Tell me you wouldn't, like, think that. If I'm the morgue guy, and then he comes in, hey, you're not going to believe who died. You got to check him out. Mark Calloway. Who's that? Undertaker. Remember WWF? Holy shit. He's laying in front of me and there's the tag on the toe. I honestly would like stand back and be like, oh, this motherfucker's going to rise up. Undertaker will never die. My favorite flavor of ice cream by far is pistachio. Probably in my lifetime, I'm about 8 or 9 pounds heavier now because of pistachio ice cream. Give me pistachio ice cream. Give me pistachio Jello. Give me pistachio anything. I'll eat it. Pistachio ice cream is my favorite. Not even close. The Sit Down episode 914. Could you picture The Undertaker without any clothes on? Loose Cannon Creation says he still has the Tori Wilson issue of Playboy. Do you know, I got to tell you all a funny, quick story talking about nudity and WWE women. This is a true story. Anybody that goes back with me 20, 25 years know this story already. A lot of you remember when we used to do the Minority Report in the mid-2000s with Joey 924. One time, Lita was doing an autograph signing at Funtime USA. Anybody remember Funtime USA? That was like a little, in fact, I think WWF at the time did a hardcore championship match with Crash Holly and the plastic balls and everything. Lita was doing an autograph signing at Funtime USA. And Joey 924, we were doing a hotline at the time. And I might even have the episode, I'm not sure. But he says, I'm going to go meet Lita. And Kev, God rest his soul, and I, and everybody were like, oh, great, have a great time. Joey is so fucking lucky that he was wheelchair bound. That motherfucker wheeled his ass up to Lita and actually tried to get her to sign. A lot of you don't know this. A lot of you may remember this. But back in the early 2000s, maybe even mid-2000s, there was an infamous topless photo floating around who claimed to be Lita. And it was Lita's head was photoshopped on a nude photo. And I'm sure if you Google image it, you're over 18, that photo probably still exists somewhere. Someone still probably trolls people and says, yeah, that's Lita naked. And he actually had a developed copy of it, and he wheeled his ass up to Lita. And he's like, could you autograph my photo? And she looked and said, I'm not autographing that shit. That's fake. So he's like, oh, come on. And she was like, I'm not autographing that stuff. Get out of here. That is a true story. She legitimately tried to get her to sign an autographed, doctored photo of her naked. That is a true story. Thank you. Thank you, Havili. Sean KB, what's up? Thoughts on the Goon Wars? Sean Rossap versus JD from New York. Sean Rossap is threatening to fight Sean in the past, Sean KB, and he wouldn't mind knocking him out. I'm not trying to take the high road on this. JD is my friend. He's been a friend of mine for many, many, many years. When I did that Forbidden podcast episode with him, one thing that I wanted to come across with that episode is to show a more casual side of JD that most people don't see. Casual conversation. Sure, we talked about wrestling, but I wanted people to see that, JD, is very strung up and animated and very, turning it up 50 notches when he does his shows. And I think that episode did its justice. Many, many years ago, I gave no credit to anybody who wrote in wrestling. The reason why I never gave anybody credit is because back in the day when Kev and myself, even when I was doing the hotline, the Blackheart Sports Entertainment hotline with Brian Damage, Matt Zombie, we used to get stuff from Mike the Informer. We used to get stuff backstage from WWE. TNA, we had Mr. Mystery who worked in the offices with Dixie. We were breaking shit on our shows, and it's documented because we have those early episodes. Every time we would report everything, no one would give us credit. No one ever gave us credit. PW Spyware never gave us credit when they were still OneWrestling.com. No one gave us credit. So as years went by, I was like, fuck everybody else, man. You never gave me credit. I'm going to start giving other people credit. And for years, I never gave nobody credit. And then I realized like 4 or 5 years ago, I'm like, you know what? The people today weren't the people from then outside of Mike Johnson. And I started realizing, there's nothing wrong with giving somebody credit. So I credit people a lot more now. Sometimes I don't give credit because I don't know who originally wrote the story. It's very difficult when someone says, did you hear what happened to so-and-so? And then I Google it, and there's like 15 people saying the same thing. And it's not easy when this person says, Fightful reports this. And then I look at another website and it says, PW Insider reports it. And it's the same story. I'm like, okay, which one do I credit? And then someone will say, Observer reported. So sometimes you don't even know who originated the story. I don't have any issue with Sean Ross Sapp. No issue at all. I just say this, it sucks that people have to fight. At the end of the day, JD works his ass off. At the end of the day, Sean works his ass off. Different strokes to different folks. And I just feel like, you know what? That's why I posted the video of my dogs sharing a treat together for 3 minutes. Because I'm like, me 15 years ago, I'd be right in on fighting. I'd be fucking fighting along with everybody else. But I'm tired of it, man. We lost Kev 4 months ago. Not even 4 months ago. 3 months ago, we lost Kev. And I'm almost the same age as Kev. And now I'm fucking getting COVID and my kidney hurts and, other shit is going on. And I'm like, man, I don't know how much time I have left. I might be around for another 40 years. Fuck all of you. I'll be annoying all of you for 40 years. And, or I might be gone in a year. I might be gone in a month. I don't know. So I'd rather go out just trying to get along with everyone, having a good time, laughing. I don't care what other people do anymore. I don't care, what this person does. Listen, it's pretty obvious that some people out there definitely copy what Kevin and I do. Copy our style. Sometimes copy our shit word for word. I know this sounds ridiculously cold, but trust me, Kev is looking down right now, and Kev would like, you tell him. When Kev and I were not doing shows together for a couple of years, we had almost everyone in the wrestling media world and the podcasting world trying to get us back together. We finally got back together. 95% of them didn't give a shit. Didn't even welcome us back, give us good luck, or even say, oh, that's cool, you guys. They just acted like, because I realized, and Kev realized too, oh, okay, we get it. We might actually hurt their viewership and revenue. And trust me, there are some shows out there 2-3 years ago, I knew it was going to happen. Go on Twitter and look at some people promoting their podcast episodes. 2-3 years ago, there'd be 500-600 likes on it. Now you look at some and there's 30. So it was only a matter of time that some people's style and them not being genuine was going to catch up to them. And it's starting to catch up to some people now. It's just taking longer than to others. But let me tell you something. What I was going to say before, this is going to sound probably the most coldest thing I've said this year. But trust me, Kev would be looking down right now and saying, oh, yeah, not even a question. Because Kev noticed how so many people just fucking ignored us when we got back to, even when we would like plug things, even when we had announcements and stuff, people just, you want to hear something fucked up? I'll tell you what this world is like. There's no doubt in my mind, this is fucked up. I don't know if I should go there, but I know Kev would agree with me. There are some people out there who have decided that their entire livelihood is wrestling, podcasting, and journalism. It's mostly podcasting because I'm not a journalist, but podcasting. There are people out there that realize they got to clickbait. They got to tease fake shit. They got to just go over the top and try to fuck with everybody else's shows because this is their only form of revenue. And there's no doubt in my mind that when Kev passed away in early April, there's no doubt in my mind that there were some people out there that were like, whew, these motherfuckers were going to branch out in 2026. These motherfuckers were going to double their shows every week. Thank fucking God we don't have to worry about Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle's show anymore. I know that sounds royally fucked up, but trust me, there's a couple of Reddit posts out there. Yeah, we've seen them. A couple of people screenshot some private pages that I've seen with my own eyes. That some people with shows out there were like, look, I didn't want to see him die, but, you know, that's one less show we got to worry about. That's what it comes down to, my friends. Fucked up. Solomons is not on that list. Solomons is one of our closest friends and supporters. JD and Solomons are the two shows. Joe Cronin as well, 3. Monty and Farrow, 4. Drew Yari, 5. There's like 7, 8 shows out there that whenever I bring this up, it has nothing to do with them. And I don't like doing disclaimers every time. No, I'm not talking about this, because then people like, you know, oh, what about me? So honestly, Sean, you're not going to get along with everybody out there. And I just personally think, you know, fighting over shit like this, it doesn't benefit anybody. All it does is it riles up their fan base. The people who support Sean Sapp, are going to be really riled up even more. The people who support JD will get riled up even more. And at the end of the day, who benefits from it? Who really ends up benefiting? You know, like, you know, me, I said, I have that Big E meme, you know, him eating the popcorn. Like, it's not good to be fighting, in my honest opinion. So that's my honest take on it. Oh yeah, King Arthur, they still got to worry about me. I got to keep our vibe alive. Kev's memory will never fade. So no. We will definitely keep the DTKC spirit. There is a boatload of Castle comrades out there that I will never abandon. And will definitely always, you know, keep Kev close in the heart. Trust me, weekends like this is where I sorely miss him. Because it would have been so fun to talk about Goldberg. I would have been like, Kev, Goldberg got his final match. Hey, got to give it to him. Might be his longest match ever. Fucking did a great job. Physically looked amazing. You know, wasn't embarrassed or anything. You know, I think he's had a storied career. He's a Hall of Famer. You know, he's really, you know, done what he needed. He didn't have to have 5-star matches to get over with the fans. I think Kevin would be like, fuck him, and fuck John Cena too. Kevin and I were kind of difference of opinion about Bill Goldberg. So I miss talking to Kev, man. I really do. Jimmy Fingers, DT, pay attention to every detail in a Mercedes-Tony match. Tony helps herself to a little Mercedes pie. She really gets buries her face right there. You know what's funny? I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, a lot of little things like that, subtle things, people usually don't pay attention to. But then when someone does it, like everybody focuses. I'll give you a good example. I was watching, you know, because I do the history show every week. I cover everything I possibly can. I look at match results. I look at moments. I look at this. And last week came across my feed. I don't know if it was Raw or SmackDown, but Lacey Evans took on Naomi. And people will remember this for one reason. Lacey Evans beat Naomi, and it sparked a movement on Twitter called hashtag Give Naomi a Chance. If you type it on Twitter, you'll see several years ago that movement that really didn't go anywhere. But what people really got angry with was not only the fact that Lacey Evans pinned Naomi, but Lacey Evans pinned Naomi like Rhea Ripley pinned some women. And it's very sexual. And people were like, oh my God, not only are they bitching out Naomi, but they're humiliating. Look what Lacey Evans did. I mean, people got legitimately angry. Over that. It just, but when Rhea Ripley started pinning women the same way, that's what people focus on. Listen, Toni Storm, her character comes off, is asexual the right way to put it? Like Toni Storm is just, I don't think she favors one, I understand, she's married. I don't remember the name of the wrestler she's married to, but, I just feel like that's part of her character. But AEW's done that with several women. You look at Mina Shirakawa, you look at the gestures that some women make. Some women will, try to get a little affectionate. I think it's just part of the pansexual. Thank you very much, Loose Cannon Creations. I think Toni Storm's character is kind of like pansexual. That's how I came across. But oh yes, Juice Robinson. That's right. Because wasn't there rumors back then that she was bi, and then she got engaged to Juice Robinson? This was not that long ago, a couple of years ago, and I remember people like, wait, I thought she was. And I was like, well, nothing wrong with that. You could like both, Yeah, asexual. Well, you know what? That actually could apply, Jag. Asexual implies no interest. Maybe Toni Storm doesn't have any interest, but maybe this was more of mind games. I kind of like the pansexual a little more. I think pansexual is more right way to put it. But yeah, no, I am going to watch tomorrow. I only have a half a day in my office. I'm not spending a full day. Tomorrow, I'm going to spend a good 4 or 5 hours going through all of the wrestling this weekend. I've watched enough already. I mean, I've already seen Saturday night's main event. I've already seen half of Great American Bash. I've seen several of the AEW matches. Supercard of Honor, though, I don't know about that. But by the way, that gauntlet match for the women, it's pretty fucking amazing that Britt Baker was not part of it. Yes, I get it. She's not part of the current crop of women, but there was a couple of women in that gauntlet. I don't want to say specifically who. There was some women in that gauntlet. Honestly, I just felt like the Texas fans could care less if they were out there. And it would have been interesting to see a nice little surprise, even if you brought back, Britt Baker, or you bring back, what's her face? Oh my God, drawing a fucking blank. Holy shit! Wow, drawing a blank. Who's the? Wow, I can't put. See, this is when I know I got to stop bringing the show home. Camille. I didn't want to ask. I was like, I have to remember this one myself. Camille. Jamie Hayter, I think, doesn't Jamie Hayter, she's not cleared. That's why they did that angle with her where the lights went out. The lights went out and all you heard was, then the lights went on and she's like, so yeah, she's not cleared. So tell me, who won the Battle Royal? Stephanie Vaquer. Hey, remember what we said? Stephanie Vaquer and Becky Lynch. That was a match that we were talking about last Wednesday. We were talking about in the predictions. No, we did Evolution on Monday, last Monday. Stephanie Vaquer and Becky Lynch, because we were wondering, like, I remember it now, last week when we were talking about the possibility, like, I went with Lyra Vicaria. But when we narrowed it down to Becky Lynch, we said, if Becky retains, who's next? Like, somebody said Maxine Dupree, and I'm like, okay. But we were wondering, and we said Stephanie Vaquer. That's interesting. Could Stephanie Vaquer be the one to dethrone Becky Lynch? That's a SummerSlam match. That is definitely a SummerSlam match. Just got to see Booker T on commentary, though, for obvious reasons. You know what would be funny? Jimmy Fingers. It would have been funny if Stephanie Vaquer would have gotten to fight Toni Storm, and as Stephanie is doing that move, Toni Storm kind of has like a smile on her face or something. Listen, if this was Attitude Era, I can't do it with my tongue, but I literally, as Stephanie Vaquer is doing it, I'd be like I just even if it wasn't even close, like I would just make sure it was on camera. Yes, King Arthur says Stephanie Vaquer is something very special about her. Very natural charisma and talent. You know what's sad? I mentioned in a history show yesterday. This past week was the 1-year anniversary of her being signed to WWE, and it was the 1-year anniversary of Joe Tessitore signed with WWE, and nobody mentioned it. It was the 1-year anniversary for both. They both signed within a few days of each other. I like that. Stephanie Vaquer is right now probably my favorite women's wrestler in the WWE. I mean, I'm really enjoying Lola Vice, and there's a few women that I absolutely enjoy, but Stephanie Vaquer is the one that I really have gravitated to. Not just physically, I'm just saying, like, she's got that aura, and she really works good. She just has to improve her facial reactions. Like, when you get punched in the face, there's nothing wrong with making it look like it hurts. Sometimes she looks frustrated. You know, I'm not trying to nitpick about her, but if you watch closely, sometimes when she gets hit, if you look at her facial reactions, there's nothing wrong. Sometimes but she's got frustration, like, and it doesn't match the reaction. So, all right. Rocky Red says Rikishi cry over Jay. He cries over Jay, yet he has Solo Sikoa in a nice spot. His daughter-in-law Naomi's about to be champ, and he's making Jimmy feel like he's Marty Jannetty. Yeah, I haven't worked on the thumbnail yet. So, Andrew 914 sent me a funny one, but he misunderstood what I wanted. He superimposed Rikishi's head, and he used Jobber Joe's pose with the Raven thing. I want to put Jimmy Uso's head on Raven, and I want him in the ring like this, and like, what about me, Dad? What about Jimmy? Because Rikishi's always butthurt about Jey Uso. For those that don't know, we were talking about it last week, I think on Patreon too. I think Patreon is where we discussed it. Starting this Monday, we're going to start a little funny campaign on the show, calling out Rikishi. He shows no love for Jimmy. You hear Rikishi's tirades the last bunch of months, it's always about Jay. Brother, they did him dirty, brother. I don't know why they took the title off him, brother. You never hear Rikishi talking about Jimmy. Jimmy, they did him dirty, brother. Look at what Jay's doing, brother. Jimmy, they doing nothing, brother. Like, Rikishi, what's up with Jimmy? You don't love him as much? What the fuck? You never cry about him. Look what they're doing to Jimmy. Jimmy! Quiche, what about Jimmy? I think Rikishi would be J-sexual. I just made one. Rikishi, are you J-sexual? You only care about Jay? What about Jimmy? Rikishi, Quiche, you're J-sexual. Not asexual, you're J-sexual. In fact, that should be the name. Maybe you know what we got to do? We got to put Rikishi's podcast logo, the graphic of him podcasting, and then put like in his mind with hearts, Jey Uso. And then in the corner, you got to put Jimmy like laid out somewhere. And we got to put as the title, J-sexual. Rikishi is J-sexual. Blame it on the COVID, everyone. All right. We've gone an hour and 49 minutes. I would like to stay on the air until we get the outcome of Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, or 2 hours, whichever comes last. So that's what we will do. We'll go until we get the outcome of Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. I think Io's going to retain. But we also thought Rhea as the champion going to Australia might be a better way to go. The problem is, we just realized something. We just realized something. If Rhea Ripley wins that championship, who challenges her? Lyra? Bailey? Raquel, no more. No. Chiquita. You said that this feud is it. That's it. No more. Roxanne Perez? No. So you put them aside. Who's there? You're like, Natalya? Oh, my God. She's the GOAT. She's the GOAT. Greatest old lady of all time. No. She's the GOAT with 2 O's. The greatest elder. Natalya is good. It's just funny that her whole gimmick outside when she does indie shows, she's like an angry bitch. And like, okay, so that's the character. But you were an angry bitch in the WWE too. I'm tired of it. It's my time. I think Natalya is one of the greatest women's wrestlers ever. She may not be on the level of Medusa. She may not be on the level of, like the really, really top of the line polished wrestler, but someone who is consistently, good at her game, plus what she has done to help other women and the longevity and everything. I definitely think Natalya's first-time Hall of Famer. I still think Io Sky and Asuka is the match people want to see. But then again, Kabuki Warriors reforming. I could see the Kabuki Warriors challenging Raquel and Roxanne Perez at SummerSlam. I kind of feel that might be a better way to go. I know they've kind of they visited that already, but no, I'd rather see that. I know this was a 4-way, but I guarantee you, who pinned who in that tag team match tonight? I honestly think it was going to be probably, Izzy Dame? Was she in that match? Izzy Dame and Sal Ruka, I thought, would be pinned. Who is the SmackDown team? Alexa Bliss and Charlotte? God, neither one of them are getting pinned there. Who got pinned in the tag team match tonight? So my guess is probably, I know Raquel got the pin, but who got pinned? I thought it would be Izzy Dame or Sal Ruka. Probably Izzy Dame, because Sal Ruka right now is a double champion. She's won 2 titles in the last couple of months. So, like, Sal Ruka, I think Izzy Dame. I'm probably wrong, but. Oh, Stephanie gets the title shot at Clash at Paris. Okay. Stephanie versus. So we just figured it out. It wouldn't be Stephanie versus Becky. You could still do that, but that's the IC title. So it would be Stephanie versus Io. Or Stephanie versus Rhea in Paris. Which match would you go with? Would you go with Stephanie and Io in Paris, or would you go with Stephanie and Rhea in Paris? Interesting. Anybody know who got pinned in that tag match? Anybody know? I got a good question for all of you. What was Nikki Bella one of the last women to still be in the ring? Like, who is the final 2 or 3 women in the ring? King Arthur says Blake Monroe wins the title in Paris. Blake Monroe's not a main roster star yet. So unless they have an NXT title match in Paris, I don't see that happening. Definitely a possibility. I think Blake Monroe, doesn't she come off as like a woman from Paris? Like, I could picture, like, her from Paris. I could see all this segments, her in all the stores with the parfum, Okay, the final 4 was Lash Legend, Nia Jax, Nikki Bella, Stephanie Vaquer. Okay. So who is the last person that Stephanie eliminated? So we remember we thought it would come down to Nikki Bella. But I thought Bianca would be in this match. I guess Bianca's not cleared yet to return. Last was the last one. Stephanie Vaquer and Last Legend. Okay. All right. I'm happy for Last Legend, man. When she first came into NXT, I honestly thought she was like the female Omos. The female Omos. And for any you motherfuckers that call a race card right away, let me explain something. Omos is extremely tall, as is Last Legend. Omos, yes, is dark-skinned, black, like Last Legend. But Omos used to play basketball, as did Last Legend. That's why I compare it to Omos. There ain't many other 7-foot basketball players or former basketball players in WWE that's white-skinned. You know, unless you want to go Paul White, and he ain't in WWE right now. So when Last Legend came in, I thought she was a female Omos. I thought she would be more like an Oompa Loompa, like not very good in the ring. Boy, did she change my mind quickly. I think she's great, man. In fact, you know the funny thing is, if Last Legend gets promoted to the main roster and she ends up on SmackDown, there's going to come a time where people are going to start feeling like WWE may be intentionally holding back Last Legend in favor of Jay Cargill. I truthfully believe that. Last Legend has all the tools to really take it to the next level. I just still can't believe they let go of Jakara Jackson. It's surprising. It's very surprising. You look at her now doing the Mara Sade gimmick. She just looks exotic, and she can work. Like, I'm confused. And I even said it. Out of all the people that WWE released recently, Cora Jade, I just felt maybe a little too injury prone. But Jakara Jackson was the one that had me confused the most, really. Raquel pinned Sal Ruka after Zarya accidentally spit. Yes, it was Zarya. Why I kept saying Izzy Dame? Zarya, that's right. So we may see Zarya and Sal Ruka feud. All right. No, really, I did answer it before. My favorite ice cream is pistachio. I said I have about 8 pounds extra on me because of pistachio over the years. I love pistachio. Could eat gallons of it. This is a true story. I'm not proud of it. But about a month ago, my wife was craving ice cream. I thought I would get something out of it, which I didn't. So I ordered it, and I ended up ordering myself pistachio ice cream and a pistachio gelato, Italian ice. And then when it came, I didn't know which one I wanted first, so I had half of each. And then late that night when she was sleeping, I ate the other half. That is true. It's kind of funny. My wife, she sleeps, she snores, and she's in a dead sleep. I can literally say, honey, the dog fell off the bed. Honey, the house is on fire. And she'll hear nothing. But if I go like this, why are you eating at 3 o'clock in the morning? Tristan wants to know my thought on Hogan's heel turn of Bash at the Beach. How shocked was I? Is it the greatest heel turn of all time? It's up there as one of the greatest heel turns of all time. Was I shocked? Yes. Hogan was getting booed more at that time, but Hogan was still fairly cheered. And, you know, when he was doing movies at the time, I remember he had almost no mustache. And he was smaller, too. This was not too long after he came out to Pastamania. Funny thing is, I got a blender somewhere, sealed somewhere from that time, too. But when he did the leg drop, it was good, man. I loved it. I loved it. It was definitely time, and it ended up being cool. That's the thing. I mean, NWO is very unique because it was one of those factions that would get pelted with garbage, and yet everybody that's throwing the garbage is wearing an NWO shirt. Anybody ever think about that? You go back and you watch The fans throw in the garbage. So many of them were wearing NWO shirts. They were like, I love you so much, I hate you. I love you, you asshole. Jimmy Fingers, thank you very much for your generosity, my friend. Jimmy says, off topic, and says, regarding the beatdown Damian Priest took from Aleister Black, he might be in the minority, but he feels he deserved it. He probably deserved one from Truth as well for sticking his nose in their business week after week after week. You know, obviously, Aleister Black needs something right now. Aleister Black and Damian Priest, I would have loved to see that go down in NXT. If anybody remembers the Aleister Black in NXT, shit, I would have liked to have seen Damian Priest against Malachi Black. You know, I'm happy that Aleister Black is back in WWE. No question. And listen, is he being booked better now than he was in AEW? I think that's still a little too soon to say, but I will say this. When Aleister Black left, there was a lot of bitterness for WWE. In fact, if you really want to dig a little deeper, Aleister Black was accusing WWE Creative as being bipolar with the way they booked him. He was saying some pretty harsh shit. Then he realized, wow, AEW's treat me even worse. So now he's back, and I'm like, I feel Aleister Black needs a faction. But R-Truth is certainly not one of them. R-Truth, to me, I like what they're doing, but I don't. I don't want to see the corny shit back. But it just almost feels like, all right, we got to use R-Truth. What do you want to do with him? I don't know. We got Aleister Black. We want to have a few. All right, let's go there. And listen, R-Truth has a history with Damian Priest, Judgment Day, you know. But it just feels like it's randomly slotted in there. I need Damian Priest to be the archer of infamy more instead of the metrosexual that people were trying to label him as, which I don't. But I need Damian Priest to be darker. You know, like not Latino, if people understand what I mean. Like, if you notice lately, like Damian Priest is being celebrated more for his Latino heritage than anything else. Like, if you look at what they did in New York City and other like that, I need the archer of infamy. I need the darker Damian Priest. You give me that Damian Priest with Aleister Black, now you're onto something. But something is lacking. And this feels just put together for the sake of putting it together. I want this to click. I want it to click. Hopefully it does. Hopefully it does. But yeah, I mean, Damian Priest definitely deserves it. But they don't need to do any turns here. That's the good thing about it. If these two could click and really put something special together, the fans won't care. They'll cheer both. Damian Priest, I agree, is 44. And he may have peaked as champion. I don't know if Damian Priest ever wins the world championship again. But Damian Priest has solidified himself in upper card. Absolutely. House shows, Damian Priest, one of the most over guys still. So, all right. What's going on with Io Sky and Rhea Ripley? We need updates. Hurry up and finish that match, goddammit. Eric is asking, do I think Karrion Kross should join Paul Heyman's group for Seth gone for a while? Yeah, we opened up the show talking about that possibility. Who do you add to the faction? You know, I don't want to see the Sami Zayn stuff, but I could picture it. Just like, you know, Bronson Reed tsunami'd respect into Seth Rollins. Braun speared respect into Sami. I don't want to see Sami Zayn turn heel yet. I don't think it's needed, but somebody needs to slot in there. I don't know. Like, I put it this way. Karrion Kross can be added, but he cannot replace Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has to be the leader. Karrion Kross could be added as an additional person, but not as a replacement for Seth Rollins. I don't think he could replace anybody. You know, the good thing about it is SummerSlam is coming up soon. Roman Reigns is returning. You get Roman Reigns back, you get John Cena and Cody Rhodes intensify their feud, you can kind of put Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker in a tag team feud or even separate feuds for a month and a half and kill that time and then go from there. Just go from there. See, the problem that WWE did the last 6 weeks is we even brought it up last Monday. Remember what I said last Monday? Monday Night Raw feels like Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, CM Punk, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and everybody else. That's what it felt like. It felt like the major important aspects of Raw were those guys, and everybody else gets a little piece to it. Now you take the biggest piece out of there, plus that hurts Seth Rollins' whole gimmick. He is the future for WWE. You know, he is the one saving WWE, and you can't even stay healthy. You know, it kind of like damages it. Yeah, we know what wrestling is, but still, you can't replace him. So, Havili, thank you for the 10 spot. DT, I didn't listen. If and when Too Cool goes into the WWE Hall of Fame, do they go in as a duo or a trio with Rikishi? Worst bump that Rikishi took, steel cage against Venus or Hell in a Cell? To me, steel cage against Val Venus. It looked fun. It looked fun when Rikishi just fell back into that straw. It just felt fun. Like, you tell me, if you went to a carnival and for $5 you could climb the top of a cell and fall backwards and land into like a thing of hay. I'd pay the $5. I'd be like, brother, I'd fall backwards. That looked fun. When Rikishi, I've never watched Rikishi do interviews about that bump, but I always felt like Rikishi may have been scared shit to take that spot, because when he fell backwards, he was frozen. If you looked at him, he was so like you. If you had a mic, if they would have mic'd him up as he was going down, you probably would have heard his teeth going. I think he was scared shit because he had to land like the perfect way. So I think the match with Val Venus. And as far as Hall of Fame, if Too Cool ever went into the Hall of Fame, it would have to be a trio. It'd have to be a trio. That Royal Rumble moment is the moment that everybody always gravitate to. I still picture, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I know for a fact some of you out there did this. Like, after that Royal Rumble match, you're not telling me that you and some of your friends weren't hanging out and you have the three of you, and just for no reason, you might have not even said anything to each other. You just looked at each other and went like this. And then you start going like this, I know I did it. You have to put all three in. You have to put all three. And honestly, that'd be a nice way to get Rikishi in the Hall of Fame. Rikishi has done more in his pro wrestling career than I think some people realize. His early days were interesting. The only gimmick that I never liked with Rikishi was when he wanted to make a change. He's out there, he wants to make a difference. He just wants to make a change. Like when he was doing that, like trying to help like people from the hood and everything, I never got into that. So that's what I would do. All three. All right, so far, Rhea hit the ribtie, but there's no referee. They're now brawling in the stands because there's no referee, obviously. Some people are worried that it might be a no contest. Do you go off the air with a no contest, though? I don't know. Let me tell you something. When he was part of the Samoan SWAT team managed by Paulie Dangerously, they were fucking great. And you know what made that team awesome? Too, their intro music. They used the music from Halloween, man. You don't know. And very rarely back then I would get chills like when a match would happen. But there was a match that we went to in I don't remember where it was. Was it the Coliseum? But we saw them somewhere. Might have not even been them, but when the Halloween music would hit, fucking chills, man. It just, because they were really serious. Like, they weren't comical in any way. They were very, very serious in WCW. Samoan SWAT team was fucking great, man. Interesting name when you think about it. You're like, Samoan SWAT. Like, you think of SWAT, you're like, you want to swat a fly. Like, who came up with the Samoan SWAT team? So overall, it seems like everybody's digging Evolution. So we're just waiting for the outcome of the match. They're back in the ring, so we're probably going to be taking it home. So I will be taking it home as well. We will definitely see what happens. So tomorrow night, if you are interested, right after Raw, I will be live in our Discord channel, dtkcdiscord.com. Few of you were asking me that will one of the changes in 2026 be the live show will be on YouTube after Raw. And as of right now, my answer is yes, but Discord will still be active. I will have both running at the same time. I have the capability of looking at YouTube chat here and Discord chats here. Especially that I don't have to connect to anybody else's server. Unfortunately, Kev's not here, but I don't have to connect to his server and worry about his audio. That's one less thing. So that is something that we will be doing. So I'm starting to get an idea as far as what we're going to do in 2026. I definitely want to start putting segments up. So when we have conversations, we're going to keep it focused on that one conversation and not keep coming back to it like we used to do. So, referee is still down. You mean to tell me Charles Robinson didn't run down? Wait, are we allowed to have any male referees tonight? And I'm not saying that to be funny or anything. I'm asking a legit question. Because if you have, Deshaun, right? I forget what she uses in WWE, her first name, but Jessica Carr, if she's knocked down. Yeah, Wayward says he doesn't recall any male referees tonight. I know Joe Tessitore and Stephanie were commentating. They were doing some beginnings, which was very cool. I went live right as it started, so. Three women referees tonight. Okay. All right. Jimmy, once again, thank you for your generosity, my friend. Sent the 20 spot in. AEW pay-per-views are pretty good. Then when weekly TV follows, he starts to tune in, starts to get into it. Then Wheeler Yuta shows up. He fast forwards it. And then Daniel Garcia shows up. Then the Beast Mortis. And then the Young Bucks to ruin it. Listen, the Beast Mortis is pretty good. Be interesting if he does become, a lawyer or something? Like, could you just imagine his commercials? Like, does he take the fucking mask off? He's got to take the mask off. If he ventures into, the legal world, you ain't walking into court wearing that shit. It's funny that Hulk Hogan got away with a bandana. Wheeler Yuta, I don't like at all. Daniel Garcia, I have no problem with, but you ain't ever going to convince me that WWE is horny to sign him. When TNA, one of the phrases that I used for TNA in the mid-2000s that got my ass in trouble a little bit was TNA. We treat your shit as it. That was a phrase that Kevin and I came up with. Because remember, they were signing a lot of WWE cast-offs. Not everybody was a cast-off. Christian did a fucking great job there. Kurt Angle left on his own. Lashley left on his own, if I remember correctly. But there was a lot of cast-offs. And we used to say, TNA, we treat your shit as it. I don't know if we could say that for AEW because some of the names that, to me, are shit, but they treat them as it, if that makes sense. They put some people on TV that, honestly, there's always going to be a fan base for anybody. You could have the shit of the shit on TV, and there will be a few people on social media that'll blow that shit up. But there are some people that AEW puts on TV that the fans do not give a shit about. And some people are out there, obviously, because they work in the back. Obviously, they're friends of people that matter in AEW. And they get spots on TV they have no business doing. I look at some of the results, and I'm like, you know, they put this big banner up, grudge match. And I was like, why am I going to watch it if I don't give a shit about this person? You know, like when we brought up Okada's main event against, oh my God, I keep drawing a fucking blank with his name. I have it right here too. The main event, let me pull it up. Drawing a freaking blank because it's about time for us to wrap this up. Where the hell's the graphic? Did I delete it already? Might have deleted it. Who did Okada face 2 weeks ago? Oh, that's great. I'm about to share what Vance just wrote. Who did Okada face 2 weeks ago? I'm drawing a freaking blank right now. I'm sorry. It's late over here, and I've been up since very early today. And trust me, this fucking kidney pain that I have right now isn't helping. Who did Okada face in the main event of Dynamite for Dynamite 300? Kota Ibushi. That's what it was. Kota Ibushi. I say this with no disrespect intended. Why am I supposed to care about Kota Ibushi? I know what he's done in Japan. I know about his health issues. I know about the golden lovers and all that stuff. But what has he done in the United States for years and years and years to make me want to enjoy this guy? Why should I be emotionally invested? Tony Khan may think this is an amazing grudge match. Some fans of New Japan Pro Wrestling may feel this is an amazing grudge match. You could put Krusty the Clown out there, and if he was in Japan, you'd have AEW fans would say this is an amazing grudge match. But for the casual fan, and for someone who does not watch Japanese wrestling, for someone who does not care about New Japan Pro Wrestling, with all due respect, why should I drop what I'm doing to see Kota Ibushi versus Okada? And the answer is they haven't. I don't care if he's a golden lover. I don't care if he's a golden shower. I don't care if he's had cancer. I don't care if he's had leukemia. I don't care if he's had a heart attack. I don't care if he saved my dog from a fucking fire. Why do I care that he's in a main event at 9:45 at night on a Wednesday, that I should stop what I'm doing to watch it? So, not saying that Kota Ibushi is shit, but they put some other people on TV that I see like, you know, how are you going to tell me that Britt Baker, they can't find time for her, but they put this other Matarazzo on TV? And I don't want to say which Matarazzo it is, but there's some people on TV like, why is this person getting all this opportunity? This person has been on TV off and on for 5 years. And the only thing that people get gravitated to is they want to see the person naked. You know, that's the biggest thing I see online. Oh my God, if Playboy still was a thing. That's what I've seen about one certain woman on that company that somehow featured on TV still, you know, for many years. So, all right. Well, anyway, we're going to go off the air with a little reaction Thank you, Jimmy, for that again. Little reaction. King Arthur is laughing his ass off. I'm just being honest, man. I'm not trying to be, like heinous. I don't want anybody to get angry. We're just having lighthearted fun. It's nothing personal. But the person I am talking about, I'll give you a hint. Her hair is lighter than mine. So, before I say who ended up going off the air with the belt, who pinned who? Wait, did we even have a pin before Naomi came out? Or did Naomi? Okay, all right. So we got an update. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody. As Rhea and Io Sky were brawling in the ring, Naomi decides she is going to cash in. Boy, WWE is smart. I just figured it out. Holy shit, I just figured it out. Naomi cashes in, making it a triple threat. Naomi, I'm assuming, pinned Io Sky. Naomi is now the women's world champion. Let this sink in for a minute. They just figured out how to get Naomi off of SmackDown. They just figured out how to get Naomi away from the Jade Cargill feud. Now she is, if we're going to say it this way, the Raw Women's Champion. So now, do we possibly get something that because Naomi is now on Raw, somebody goes to SmackDown? If you're not going to put Karrion Kross with Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins indirectly or directly, do you move Karrion Kross to SmackDown and start a faction with the Righteous and feud with the Wyatts? I'm just brainstorming right now. I'm not saying it's a good or bad. I'm just reacting to this. Somebody has to move to SmackDown. Do you put Sami Zayn on SmackDown? Do you put Sami Zayn ultimately feuding with Cody Rhodes if Cody Rhodes dethrones John Cena for the championship? LA Knight is getting an opportunity tomorrow on Raw. Why? LA Knight is a SmackDown guy. Are you going to put two people on SmackDown? No, I don't want to see Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker go to SmackDown if you're thinking what I'm thinking. So Naomi pinned Io Sky is now your women's world champion. Congratulations to Naomi. Great way to go off the air. Now you almost feel like, I know there's no rematches, but now you almost feel like SummerSlam, Io, Rhea, Naomi. SummerSlam. That would be very interesting. Bianca Belair. She's SmackDown. So now Bianca Belair, wait a minute. Yeah, she is SmackDown. So she doesn't even get to feud with Naomi anymore. So, all right, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm definitely feeling it. JT says Jade Cargill beats Tiffany Stratton in Paris to become champion, leading to a three-way at Mania next year. I got news for you. Survivor Series? I wonder, well, no. I was going to say it would be cool to see Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Champion versus champion, but I don't think both will be champions by then. So could you do Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill? I don't know, because right now they're not turning Jade Cargill heel. I don't see them turning Bianca Belair heel. If you bring Last Legend to SmackDown on a regular basis, I could see Last Legend getting penciled in there. I got news for you. I think Last Legend versus Jade Cargill would be a pretty fucking great match. But Jade Cargill won Queen of the Ring. So she gets the match against Tiffany Stratton at SummerSlam. So Jade Cargill, she's set. Bianca Belair, she could face Last Legend. So everybody seems to be enjoying the outcome. Aleske, my reaction to the Immortal storyline, 10, 10, 10. We have ripped that to pieces. For my friends out there, because it's late, hopefully my computer in my head is not cross-contamination right now. Was that, you're coming, was that 10, 10, 10? I think it was 10, 10, 10. Oh, was 10, 10, 10, warning. It was. Yes, it was. I was hoping that I didn't yes, I remember that. Listen, my favorite moment about 10, 10, 10, and we celebrate that anniversary. When Abyss and Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy were in the ring and they grabbed that fan sign, I'll never forget it. We took it and we put it on a speaking spell. And in fact, I remember back in the day, we made the computerized. For when we grew up as kids in the 70s and the 80s, they had a thing called speak and spell. So you would type in a word and then your computer voice actually say the word and spell the word. So when they've closed out 10, 10, 10 and they did the reveal and they're all standing in the ring and they have this sign that says they're here, the fans spell, now when you say they're here, there is THEY apostrophe RE. It's abbreviated for they are here. They're here. They grab the fan sign and the fans spell there THERE. And sorry for saying this, but just keep it in time, in perspective of time at that time. We're watching Abyss and Jeff Hardy in the ring. And I'm like, Jeff Hardy's a drug addict, off and on, and Abyss is playing a retard. The ring. Anybody remember that? And I'm like, and they're holding a sign that doesn't even have proper English. It's misspelled. So we literally took a speak and spell voice, and we played it, and it said, there, THEY apostrophe RE. And we played it, and it was like, they were smiling and they're taunting the fans like they're here and they're all celebrating. I'm like, you're holding a sign that's not even spelled the right way. That's my memories of 10, 10, 10. No, the warning. I remember it now. Now it's coming to, remember Tito Ortiz? August 1st warning. They did that silhouette on YouTube. Warning, this is not Batista. Warning, August 1st warning. And it turned out to be Tito Ortiz. That's when I was feuding with Bully Ray. He wanted to beat my ass. And I'll never forget, Tito Ortiz came out and there was no crowd reaction. And you go back and you watch it. He folds his hands like this. And Mike Tenay is talking about Tito Ortiz. And I'm looking around. I'm like, the fans don't even give a fuck. The entrance music was so crystal clear. You could have recorded it and played it and people would have thought hey, where did you get the CD version of that song? There was no reaction to Tito Ortiz whatsoever. So I used to be able to do the Don West. Tito Ortiz. I can't do it right now. I've been coughing. I have the COVID cough all week, but I miss the little games growing up. But I realize I don't miss them, and I'll give you all a good example. Does anybody ever remember Coleco? I think the manufacturer was Coleco, not ColecoVision. I think it was Coleco. Late 70s, they came out with a handheld football game. And it's legendary. And, in good condition, it's probably hundreds of dollars. And it was a little handheld game with just a bunch of dots, and you'd play football on it. And everybody was going fucking nuts for this game. And I had it as a kid. About 15 years ago, I found one on eBay that was in working condition for $20. And I was like, let me get one. I want to relive my childhood and I used to play the game. This game came, I think it was a 9-volt battery. I plugged the fucking battery in. I swear on my family, I'm in my bedroom and I'm playing the game. After about 15 seconds, I was like, this sucks. Like, why did I like this as a kid? It sucked. It was just dots. And it didn't even say, and you'd hear, it was like, oh, bad. Scorpio 1117 sharing a super comment. He just saw Evolution. This was the best WWE show that he's seen in the last decade from start to finish. Women's wrestling is starting to take over. I appreciate you enjoying it that much, and that's very cool. I will never criticize anybody who truly enjoys something that they paid for and enjoy from start to finish, whether it's AEW, TNA, or WWE, or anything else. Just keep in perspective what this was. And I'm not throwing any shade on it. Remember, there's enough to back this up. And I've been saying this for a while now, for years and years and years. 2020, he made a comment. 2022, 2023, he made a comment. I don't know about 2024, but at least 3 or 4 times in different years, Triple H was asked about doing another Evolution. And his answer was pretty much why. Why do we need it? He felt that the best of the best are on TV already, and everybody was getting an opportunity. And, you know, for people that are, and I'm not saying this to be controversial, but you'll understand why I'm saying this. You notice now they don't celebrate Black History Month. Notice how they don't celebrate LGBTQ Awareness Month and other causes. Why is that? Because in TKO and in WWE's eyes, everybody is equal. Everybody's treated the same, which I think is a mistake, because there's a reason. Put it this way. If Triple H truly feels right now that if women are outshining the men on TV, they'll get more time than the men, and vice versa. If Triple H truly feels that everybody's treated equally, whether you're black, white, male, female, whatever it is, people had to do things over the years to lead to this. So why would you not celebrate people from yesteryear who helped try to bring to where you are today, right? So I disagree with WWE ignoring history like that. But Triple H has made it clear many, many years that this was not necessary anymore. In 2018, there was a need. In 2018, women were not pushed anywhere remotely the way they are now. So this was a necessity then. It's no longer needed. So why did he give in and do this? Make everybody happy. Women really wanted this. A lot of fans wanted it. Why not? And that's a good thing. But after tonight, the way they book people on TV goes right back to what it was before. Yes, we have a new champion. But that could have happened anyway if we didn't have Evolution tonight. It could have happened on a SmackDown. Could have happened maybe later on at SummerSlam. Don't know. Could have happened a month ago. Could have happened at Money in the Bank. So my point is, there's no taking over. I don't think that there's any need for a takeover. If the women are outshining the men on TV, I got news for you. With Seth Rollins injured like this might open up some more opportunity for women on Raw. So it sounds like a great premium live event. I absolutely am watching it. No question. But I wouldn't overstep and think that suddenly something is going to change on the WWE landscape. Because up until recently, Triple H felt no need to do Evolution. He did it to make some people happy. And it was the right decision to go. But in his mind, everybody's treated equally. So that goes back to what it was. That's just my honest opinion. So Larry sent a Jay Rikishi picture on Twitter. He doesn't know if it's what I wanted from earlier. And do I think El Grande Americano will face El Grande Americano at some point? I think we mentioned that last Monday, that I could see Chad Gable returning and face-to-face with El Grande Americano. I think we compared it to Undertaker and Underfaker. I wouldn't want to see that because Kaiser, you know what I mean? Like, if they were equal in height, it'd be pretty funny if they did like a mirror thing. You know, like they go like this. You know, like they could do a skit like that. And I'm not saying this to be funny, but you could have Ludwig Kaiser as a Grande Americano go in the bathroom, and then he looks like he's looking in a mirror, and Chad Gable is on the other side, but standing on a box, but we don't see the box, so they equal at height. And Kaiser goes like this. And Chad Gable on the other side goes like this. And they go. You know what I mean? Like, I could see shit like that. I could see Chad Gable returning and calling out El Grande Americano is fake. And Chad Gable says, next week, I will bring to everyone the real El Grande Americano. And then maybe Kaiser is in the ring as El Grande Americano, and then Chad Gable shows up as El Grande Americano. I could see it. I could see it. And for anybody that's going to say to me, well, if this was done in AEW, we'd be shitting all over it. Here's the difference, though. We're enjoying the person doing it. And the person doing it is doing a great fucking job. So if you have someone doing a gimmick like that in AEW and they're doing a great fucking job, why would we shit on it? You know what I mean? It's like, you know, like, I don't want to compare it to the Devil storyline, but they don't have many people masked as a mystery. But there was one point where the Devil storyline was pretty fucking cool. And we were all speculating, who could it be? Could it be MJF? Could it be Jack Perry? Could it be this person, this person, this person? You know, there was a point where it was really fucking cool. Nobody was shitting on it. It jumped the shark in no time, and then it got very goofy, and that's why people were crapping all over it. So you can't say, oh, if it happened in AEW, people would shit on it, because we haven't seen something like that happen in AEW. So how do you truly know you're going to shit on it? That's why when I see people say stuff like that, I'm like, think about what you're saying. It makes no sense. And I'm defending AEW right now. Sean KB, have I collaborated with Bin Hameen? He's in New York. I haven't, but I like Bin Hameen. I think he is a very intelligent guy, a little controversial years ago. Not saying he's not controversial now, but listen, if he ever wanted to have an episode where we just chatted about wrestling, I absolutely would do it. You know, people have asked me about that with like Vince Russo. Or not. Of course I would. You know, but I don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. Like if there's a want out there and the people involved want to do it, yeah, I would do it. I like Ben Hameen. Ben Hameen is, listen, he does some episodes with some people, you know, that sometimes, you know, they might be trying to like bait you a little bit, you know, without not mentioning names, but you know, he does stuff with Jeff Lane. I like it. He does stuff with Vince Russo. I like it. Al Snow stuff he does. I like that. I think when you get towards coach territory and others, it kind of feels like a little baity. But Ben, I mean, I like him. I have no problem. If he wanted to do something, I would do it. Absolutely, man. Jimmy Fingers. Thank you again, Jimmy. Charlotte has always been charming and likable outside the ring. Charlotte character is just not over like people portray it to be. If Ashley could insert more of a real personality in her character, she'd be more over. You know what's interesting? I don't keep bringing up the history show as a plug. I bring it up because I'm reminded of things. And this is a great example of one. Alexa Bliss. I look at interviews from years ago, see if anything noteworthy could be relevant for today, or vice versa. Alexa Bliss did an interview, I'd say about 7 years ago, and I was watching it last week. I didn't put it in a history episode because it really wasn't news, but it was fabulous because she gave a lot of love to Charlotte. And she said, especially when she was coming up from NXT, she said that Charlotte was the one that really helped her with a lot of things. And when I watched this interview last week, and listen, you could probably search it on YouTube. Just look up Alexa interview Charlotte, NXT. It'll come up. And after I watched that interview, like, I had a new appreciation for this tag team being together right now, because it's not makeshift. That they used to be really, really tight, and Charlotte helped her a lot. I think the problem is that Charlotte Flair's been on TV now for 10 years. Main roster, 10 years. And Charlotte Flair has built a brand about her. She's built a brand. And you can't suddenly, after 10 years, put out the more personal side of yourself to try to get over in a different way, because that's not what got her to the table. How she can do that is through social media. Cross is a great example of that. You maintain that Ashley aspect of yourself on social media, and people start to learn a little bit more about Ashley Flair, and they see, okay, you know, what we see on TV is not who this person is now, and you start to separate the two, and you get this newfound appreciation. And that's something that Charlotte Flair, you can't do it as character development on TV, because people in the back of their mind are waiting for the heel turn. Wow, Charlotte has been really, really nice on TV. Okay, all right. Where's the backstab? I think WWE Creative wouldn't be able to resist. I think WWE Creative would be like, oh, wow, this heel turn is going to be even better now. So that's what Charlotte could do. Charlotte could continue as far as the personal aspect of her on social media, but I don't see, I just don't see that. I honestly don't see that. So I really don't think it would actually work. Havili, I did answer you super earlier. You talking about Rikishi? I just heard my wife scream for some reason. You said I didn't answer your super chat. I'm looking at them right now. I mentioned Rikishi before. Oh, I see one. The countdown so far is Cody versus Brock, Cena versus Seth, Brett versus Taker. What? What? Mouse? Oh, so it's probably a water bug. I knew I heard my wife scream. She might have found a naked picture of me. No, she saw a water bug. She's freaking out. Are these fantasy matches? Cody versus Brock, Cena versus Seth, Brett versus Taker, Brock versus Seth, Becky versus Bianca, Christian versus Randy, Brock versus Taker, Jeff Hardy versus CM Punk. If I'm counting down like my favorites to least favorite, okay, I'll play. I would go, as far as my favorite out of all of this, my least favorite was Jeff Hardy and CM Punk. I still remember the meme. Anybody remember the meme that we made I think CM Punk had the belt and Jeff Hardy had left WWE. And I remember it said, dumbass, this could have been you. That's the countdown from the WWE YouTube channel. So what are these? Greatest SummerSlam matches? Is this what we're going with? Is this the countdown, David? What's this countdown? SummerSlam matches. Okay, all right. So they're calling, wait, hold on. So Cody and Brock is number one? Where's Brock and Roman Reigns? Wait, where didn't they have the match where Brock had the fucking payloader and they shifted the ring? Is this the top? Like, is Cody and Brock number one? She's freaking out. I still hear her inside. She said it ran under the stove. Oh, so okay. All right, this is more realistic. So they haven't counted down to number one yet. Okay, I'm fine with this. So this is from number 25 on. So WWE's milking this. They're milking this across, I guess, a couple of videos. So number 25 is Cody Brock. 24, Cena and Seth. Brett Taker, 23. Brock, Seth, 22. Becky, Bianca, 21. Christian and Randy Orton, 20. Brock versus Taker, 19. Jeff Hardy, CM Punk, 18. That's odd to just stop it there. I don't think they have any issue with any of those on that list. I don't know if I would have put Cody Brock as like 25. I kind of would reverse these. I would put CM Punk, Jeff Hardy, 25, and put Cody Brock maybe number 18. Reverse it a little bit. But I bet you Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar's in like top 5. You know, we got some vintage matches from the late 80s for SummerSlam. I mean, everybody immediately goes back to overseas with Davey Boy and Brett and others. There's some fucking phenomenal matches out there. So I don't like 25. It almost feels like they're doing 25 instead of top 10 for ad revenue because they splice in commercials and all this shit. So it's not a bad list. And my favorite premium live event this weekend, it's still a little bit early for me to say because I haven't watched Evolution yet, but based on all your live feedback tonight, it looks fucking phenomenal. I have watched, I'd say about a fifth of All-In. No complaints so far. I mean, I've skipped through it. I've watched, I'll say this, it's not me getting older. I don't like the stabbing that Hangman Page did to Moxley. You know, I want to see it. I see it in a movie. When you're doing that, you're really stabbing him. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? Like, you doing a stabbing doesn't make me like this match any more than it should. You know what I mean? Like, when you're watching a movie, you're not really stabbing someone. You're simulating a stabbing. Why would I want to see somebody legitimately get stabbed? Like this, trust me, there's people over the years I wouldn't have minded wrestling if they got their ass kicked like that. But to me, to be honest, to me, I was like, that's not necessary, in my honest opinion. And it's some of it is just like, even, let me put it this way too. Even when they're showing highlights of other matches leading into this, one of the things that AEW showed was when Swerve was feuding with Hangman and the blood was dripping, I think, into Hangman's mouth. I'm like, why are you replaying that? Like, whoever thinks that is like a memorable thing to put on a replay a year later or whatever it is, what's wrong with that person's mind? You know what I mean? Like, all right, you're into horror films, you're into slasher films, good. You're into, like, that's not something that I personally think, you want to put in a highlight reel. Somebody there is just, that's why as innocent as Tony Khan would come across, you know what I'm saying? Like, as innocent and, almost autistic-like, if we're being honest. You wonder in the back of your mind if this guy is like watching stuff films and fantasizing some really weird, bizarre shit. I don't know. Trust me, I know a lot of sickos. I mean, AEW fans that absolutely think that's too unnecessary. Unnecessary. Okay. Jim Con, if I bought WWE, what changes would I make? That's very loaded, especially 3 hours into the show. What changes would I make? What immediate changes would I make? Immediate changes. Immediate changes. Immediate changes. That's not as easy to answer as you think. I've never been paid that level to actually like think creatively. Like AEW is a lot easier, obviously. For WWE, like what changes? What would be like a quick change? Like personally, I'd be like, keep Pat McAfee off TV. I'm still trying to figure out the contract question I brought up last week. Nobody's brought it up. As far as immediate changes goes, I can't really think much of anything right now. I mean, I would internally, first of all, I would definitely put back rematch clauses. I think when someone holds a championship for a while, they have every right to get a title shot out of it, a rematch, get an opportunity to win their championship back. That'd be something I would change almost immediately. I also would reinstitute the 30-day, you must defend the championship in 30 days. I would stop that someone could just name a new partner as a champion. I would cut that shit out. Even if I liked the choice. I like that Roxanne Perez became the partner. But I still think in storyline it's fucking stupid that Liv Morgan just sits at home and lets Roxanne Perez be happy and a champion and all this other stuff and doesn't do anything about it. And Dominic Mysterio was supposed to believe in storyline that he hasn't talked to Liv at all. Liv gets an injury and like what broke? Her shoulder or her phone? You know what I'm saying? Like I would stop the replacement champions. I definitely would cut that shit out. The problem with advertising and the way they've been doing this stuff, this is more a TKO decision. So I don't know if I would be able to change anything there, but I would institute some basic stuff. I would definitely institute some basic stuff, and definitely the 30-day, you must defend the championship in 30 days. I would also stop this window, the transfer window. The transfer window I just thought was stupid. Just do a fucking, draft every year. Do trades and make it a little bit more meaningful, or at least if you're going to do the transfer window, then don't do a draft. Do the transfer window and that's it. Do trades and that's it. Just having somebody show up out of nowhere. Oh, this is from the result of the transfer window. Put a little more effort into it. I don't know. Yeah, I definitely would love to see some Titantrons come back. I mean, that would be fun. My favorite Titantron in recent memory, and we're going to start bringing this home. My favorite Titantron in recent memory is Charlotte Flair's. It remains Charlotte Flair's. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, and thank you very much again, Jim, for that. When Charlotte Flair came up from NXT, for several years, she had that clubby version of Ric Flair's music. And if you watched the Titantron video, you would have thought she worked at a strip club. if you look, you got the disco balls and you have all these lights, and she's kind of almost like, damn, I'm like, where's the stripper pole? To me, that was like probably my favorite Titantron in the last 10 years. I mean, there's been others that were badass, but that one made me laugh more than anything, because I look at that and I looked at her and I'm like, yeah, something doesn't match up here. Like, go back and watch it. The video's on YouTube, so. Yeah, Havili says it's from 25 to 18. That's what I figured. It's that countdown for SummerSlam. It feels like a 25 to 18 list, because none of those matches would be at the top of my list. Not even close. The problem is, you start doing these top 25 lists, there hasn't been that many SummerSlams. There's been quite a few. I mean, we're going back to the 80s, but, you're doing a top 25 list when there's 37, 38 SummerSlam, whatever it is, 36, 37. So you're doing 20, that means you're only leaving out 11 years or so. And you can't every year have, for the most part, a really good match that should be on that list. So something with that short of a span, I would do a top 10 or a top 15. Yeah, it's 37, but remember, 2025 didn't happen yet. So technically it's 36. I think so. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, you're only leaving out like 11 or so years. Not every SummerSlam had a great fucking match. I mean, obviously, Hogan Savage will be on that list together. Larry thinks he's old because he was born around 87. What about me? I came around, the WWF didn't even exist yet. It was the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. WCW didn't even exist yet. Let me put it this way. When you think about it, I think all the wrestlers of today, none of them were born when I was born. All right. We're right at 3 hours. Definitely had a blast. Fun night tonight. We start doing these more on a regular basis in 2026. It's going to be interesting how we handle format-wise. Maybe 3 nights a week, we just ramble about whatever's going on in wrestling. And then the other 3 might be more specific. Like, I don't want to do full-blown recap shows. Like, Monday nights is fine. Because Monday night, it's the beginning of the week, and you kind of splice in a lot of news with it as well, and that starts the picture of what goes down. But, I don't want to do like NXT recap, Dynamite recap, Collision recap. I know there's people that do that, but to me, that's just overkill, and I feel like you're wasting too much energy where you could have some really good combos. I mean, look at everything that we talked about tonight. Everything that we discussed. From every wrestling promotion yesteryear and today, SummerSlam and beyond, everything that went down this weekend and everything that could be coming up and things imagine putting that all aside so we could just talk about what happened on NXT or what happened on Dynamite for the night. I feel like episodes could be better utilized having, because not everybody, is interested in that particular topic. So tonight it's kind of like a little bit of everything. So I tell you, I was doing the hotline in 97. So, when did Hogan turn? 96. Bash at the Beach 96. So I started doing my hotline in early 1997. I started right before ECW had its first pay-per-view. So I was doing the hotline during, those days. It was a lot of fun covering it. Absolutely loved covering it. Fun times, man. I mean, I sucked early on. I mean, I have some Hotline reports from 1999. I think that's the earliest one I could find so far. And you listen to me then, you'd be like, oh my God, how the fuck did you have the most popular hotline? I honestly don't know. You listen to me, I sound like the ultimate nerd. I try to act like I have tons of sources. Let me explain something to you. And I just was awful. We'll play a clip in the near future. I definitely got to share a little bit of, and I wasn't even Don Tony. I was Anthony the Funker. That was my nickname because Terry Funk was my favorite wrestler. It was Anthony the Funker. That's why if you look at my old Blackheart t-shirts, it says Anthony Funker in quotations. That was my nickname. A lot of people in wrestling would call me Funker, which was kind of weird because, I wasn't Terry Funk. Like, Funker, come here. And it was it was a little odd early on because it didn't reflect me. Once, we did the Don Tony stuff, it was different, DT. So, my friends, thank you for a fun night tonight. I tell you, coming off of COVID, had a nice cup of tea tonight, had a nice protein sticker. Thank you, Ronnie, again for those, and Mike for his generosity, and all of you, Havili and everybody else here on YouTube, for everybody that downloads the replay. Much love to you as well. Keep supporting the website, wrestling-news.com. Download all the shows that I do. Helps keep us relevant in the stats. It's cool to see still people to this day, finding the shows again after many years. And, enjoy the history episode this week. It was funny looking back at the Logan Paul Tiny Balls segment. I was like, wow, it's been that many years already. And Logan Paul was a baby face. It's kind of weird to go back a couple of years and wow, the crowd actually was really into Logan Paul. So, good times. So if you're around tomorrow night, right after Raw, go straight to the chat room and Discord, dtkcdiscord.com. I'll be live right after Raw. We'll recap Raw. We'll talk a little bit more about the premium live event / pay-per-views from this weekend. I'm definitely watching Evolution tonight. I want to see it because from what I saw in the feedback tonight, this is not an AEW, WWE thing. This is just a wrestling thing. Everybody seemed to really fucking dig it. Doesn't sound like there was a bad match on the card. And that's good. That's good. I want to see the row of women. The women. I want to see the row of women. I want to see who showed up that night tonight, and I want to definitely we'll see what kind of feedback. And listen, if you want in the comment section, tell me what you think about what Kelly said. No problem with it. Don't give a shit. Or hey, that's a little bit snubby. I'm sure there's some women that she hasn't seen in years, and some women that probably liked her shit when she was coming up, and she turned into a great wrestler, no question. To turn around and say, no, I'm not going to sit front row and show support for the ladies of today because I want to have a bigger return. This is TKO WWE now. If I'm TKO, I'd be like, who are you? Who are you? No. We don't need you. I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick, but do you really think TKO gives a shit about Kelly in 2025? If I'm them, I'd be an asshole and say, no. I would answer everything twice, like Tommy Two-Time from Goodfellas. I'm going to go get the papers. When Kelly says, hey, you want me for the Women's Royal Rumble? I'd be like, I don't think so. Excuse me? Did you hear me? No. Why do you keep saying things twice? Because. Have a good night, everybody. I'll catch you all later on. I'm not going to keep doing that. So be well. Much love. There was an exit of a show. Hello, I must be going. I'll talk to you all tomorrow night after Raw. Be well.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.